Okay, this is going to be a watch along of Pulp Fiction for the 30th anniversary. So I'm actually watching from the Tarantino 20 Blu-ray set. So if you have the Blu-ray, I'm going to press play in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, boom. Here we go. We got Pulp Fiction 30th anniversary, and Alex is here. First time in a long time. What's the last video we did together?
I'm not sure, man. It's been a really long time, but you know we've done a little bit of Tarantino. We've done some wrestling. The Pulp Fiction is What anniversary are we on here?
30th.
The 30th anniversary.
So I'm going to upload this on October 14th. That's the 30th anniversary of the U.S. release.
Cool.
I think the premiere was September 23rd when someone got passed out during the needle shot.
Okay.
That was September 23rd, but the U.S. release was the 14th.
Wow. A soft, moist, shapeless mass of matter, a magazine or book containing lurid subject matter and being characteristically printed on rough, unfinished paper. Pulp.
Yeah, so pulp crime stories.
Yeah. I love I love the cinematography. Everyone talks about the dialogue, the characters, and the quotes. The cinematography in this film is fantastic too, and we're watching it with the sound off.
Yeah.
And that's something, when you have the sound off, you appreciate that more. You appreciate both the editing and the cinematography a little bit more, like the way the light is shining off their faces. It just looks so natural, and you got that. It's this beautiful but also tarnished, very somehow rough looking movie, but it still looks great. It all looks so good. It's just a diner scene, but it looks great.
Well, yeah, no, he loves diner scenes. Reservoir Dogs started out with the incredible diner scene. And no, I think that's a good point. I mean, my dad actually told me this a while ago. Like he said he noticed that everything Tarantino does is just really well shot. And I don't know if I would have thought that at the time, but I think you're right.
Yeah.
He knows what he wants to show in movies.
He's a better director than people give him credit for, and some movie critics have actually criticized his writing, saying they actually think he's a better. Most people think he's a better writer than he is a director. But there are certain people who I've heard
that think he's a better director.
He's actually a better director than he is a writer. Yeah. I think it all
depends on taste.
He's very good at both.
Yeah.
But it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it was an $8.5 million budget. So, I think in a lot of ways he tried to, compensate for that. And
sure.
I think he has a saying, he tries to make the movie look 30 million times more expensive just by the way it's shot.
The fact this is only $8.5 million is amazing in itself.
And I think it did 107 million by the end of the year, and then, obviously it made a lot more money as time went on.
Right. That's really important for people to know. That starts a wave of hey, you can make small personal movies, or you can make small character-driven movies again. It don't have to be big budget, outlandish movies, and that people like Robert Rodriguez. Other filmmakers at that time could start doing stuff. Paul Thomas Anderson with Boogie Nights, and what was the other movie he followed that up with? Tom Cruise. It's escaping me. But smaller movies, character-driven movies that don't cost a lot of money. That this was Pulp Fiction proved you can do it. Kevin Smith with The Clerks is an even better example. Just that generation of filmmakers.
Yeah.
To me, the last really great generation of filmmakers. Unfortunately, that's a conversation for a different time. But
so in the scene right here, they're talking about robbing the restaurant. Nobody robs restaurants.
Yeah,
and they're clearly in love.
Is that clear? Do you think that's?
Oh,
clear?
I mean, she's always saying, "I love you, honey bunny."
That's true. I just think they just look like rascals. They just look like.
I mean, when you go into a restaurant, though, these aren't like people you would actually expect to rob the restaurant. It's very weird. But I do agree with that, though. Right. You never see anybody rob restaurants.
A man and a woman.
A man and a woman.
A man and a woman. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that harks back to the Bonnie and Clyde influence. that harks back, which is not only an influence on Tarantino, but it's also an influence on cinema. Bonnie and Clyde was a big movie for people. Another small movie.
Natural Born Killers too. I guess it almost has that type of feel.
Killers, True Romance.
Yeah, True Romance.
Similar dynamic.
A little bit, yeah.
You know, man, but they're not the couple. They're not the fantasy couple from True Romance. They're the couple from hell.
And the funny thing is, you don't see them until the end of the movie, which is crazy.
Exactly.
Like I think people when they first saw this, it's like what the hell was that all about?
What was going right now? We're somewhere else.
But I'll tell you. All right, so this is a film by Quentin Tarantino. We can't hear the audio now, but in a lot of ways, this is Tarantino's. This is the Pulp Fiction song, the Tarantino song.
Yeah.
Dick Dale. What, Miserlou? That's the name of the theme?
Yeah, this is Miserlou. That's right.
It was almost like a surfing theme. ECW used the theme for their show. The song just, it caught on like fire after this.
Yeah, and I learned this from the Ringers pod.
Oh, yeah, that Bill Simmons just did, which was awesome.
Simmons,
4.5 hours.
I guess the Black Eyed Peas did a pop song that was pretty big. It was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and some people only know that. Yeah, they don't know this one.
The younger generation, they know that. Like, I live with someone, he's in his
They
mid-20s.
Sampled it, yeah.
That's what this is from for him.
Yeah, they were like, your generation sucks, yeah.
I'm not going to say.
Well, you know what I think Tarantino was doing at the time? I think, even before he became a director, he knew, like, if you ever had a chance to make a great movie, like, this is one to start off with.
Yeah.
And then I'm not just going to start off with that. I'm gonna go right into Jungle Boogie just to create that feel.
Which is such a great song.
Wasn't it Aunt Linda that said it? Like, this is going to be the greatest movie ever just by the music that they picked here?
Well, if Aunt Linda said it.
Yeah, that's like, it's got to be true. Right?
We love you, Aunt Linda. No, absolutely. Like, I think everybody, that kind of tells the audience, like, you're going to have fun. Like, this is a fun movie. Like, this is not a movie you don't need to take it too seriously, although you can. But it's about having fun. It's a fun movie.
But why do you think he did a lot of surfer music for Pulp Fiction?
It was almost like he used surfer music as score.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have a composer, but he uses the surfer music as if he's scoring the film with 50s and 60s surf rock music.
Yeah.
But
it takes place in the 90s.
It gives it a flavor that other movies I don't really think had. In other movies don't necessarily, even since. It's funny that nobody's tried to really copy it.
Yeah.
It's true, right? Nobody's really tried to do that.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways he wanted to pay homage to the 70s, and I think it was also trying to send a message like, this is, I'm going to take it back to the way movies used to be. I think maybe it could tie into that. But all right, here we go. We got Sam and Travolta.
Right.
Riding in the car. This is the acting scene, right? That they had you do, right? For Penny Templeton. She chose this scene out of any scene in the movie.
I didn't get to do this one.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I got to do it. No, I wanted it, and they gave it to somebody else.
All right,
and Penny Templeton knew I wanted it. She said, "That's why I'm not going to give it to you."
Yeah, because it's too easy.
It's too easy. Gosh, okay. For good reason, as an acting director.
I think when this scene came out, a lot of people were blown away by. You could have these two assholes that are going away to blow somebody away, and they're talking about burgers.
Right.
They're talking about French fries and mayonnaise.
But at this moment in the movie, they're not assholes. They're not killers. They're not bad people.
Yeah.
They're just these two guys on their way to work talking about fast food.
Yeah.
You don't know that they're like really dangerous people. You don't know that until like 10, 15 minutes later.
Yeah, you don't know right now. It's like, who are these two guys?
You're just hanging out with them, and John Travolta is...
So Travolta just got back from Amsterdam, and he's talking about all this crazy shit that happens with hash and the metric system and all that stuff. So they're popping open the trunk right here. They're there to kind of settle a debt that someone had with Marcellus. I guess he screwed over Marcellus. But before we get into it, though, let's talk about Travolta. Tarantino rewrote the script for Travolta. You know, he
Okay.
loved Travolta. I mean, he really,
Yeah.
really did. I mean, originally Michael Madsen was supposed to get this part.
Yeah.
But, you know, Travolta wasn't feeling Dusk Till Dawn. I don't know why Tarantino wanted him in that. But,
Yeah.
but when Travolta said, you know, I'm a little bit more interested in Pulp Fiction, Tarantino totally, you know, redid the script to kind of
Sure.
fit for Travolta.
Travolta's, yeah. He was a big fan of Travolta.
Oh, yeah, he loved him.
And, you know, he was a big fan of Blowout, Brian De Palma's Blowout.
Yeah, Blowout was his favorite Travolta performance.
And Travolta is fantastic in Blowout. Please go see Blowout.
That was 1981.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think I saw it a couple years ago.
But you know, it's funny in the narrative that everyone talks about this movie. It was supposed to be Michael Madsen. You had other, I think Daniel Day-Lewis was talking.
He wanted the part actually.
You know, but
Tarantino fought for Travolta. A lot of people didn't want Travolta in the movie.
What doesn't get talked about in that narrative is when does Tarantino change his mind and his heart completely that it had to be Travolta, because in the beginning
Michael Madsen turned it down. The reason I heard Madsen turned it down was he was worried that he was going to get typecast because of how much of a prick he was in Reservoir Dogs, like a psycho.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons. Yeah.
Oh man, that's a bit. I don't know if he regretted that. He must have regretted that.
Yeah. And Travolta wasn't comfortable doing a lot of it, like the heroin stuff. He really had to, you know, kind of method act, you know, to get ready for this.
I love that story because he'd never done heroin, and he wasn't going to do heroin for the role. So he talked to a heroin addict.
Yeah.
And the heroin addict said, "Okay, get really drunk off of tequila. I think it was tequila,
Yeah.
and then go into a warm bath." And just float, like get really drunk off tequila, then go into a bath, and you'll get the idea of what it's like to be high on heroin, and that's how he prepared to. And I get that. That makes sense, you know. But it's scary. Well, we could talk about that scene when it comes.
Yeah. The heroin scene was great, but so let's talk a little bit about Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, this is really, you know, we've seen him in movies before. But it's been cameos like True Romance, Jungle Fever, you know, even Do the Right Thing. He was like a disc jockey.
Yeah.
But this is really Sam finally getting a real opportunity. And really, I don't know if people really appreciated how great the performance was at the time. You know, he didn't get nominated as a best lead actor. He should have been best lead actor because he really is the lead in the Bonnie situation, but he got best supporting actor, and I think a lot of people slept on it at the time.
Sure.
But this is really, I think when you look back on it, maybe the most powerful performance of at least the 90s, I think.
100% agree with you, 1,000%. I absolutely love him in this movie. It took an actor who would have probably played all those types of parts you mentioned for the next 20, 30 years, and he would have done it with joy.
Yeah.
And instead of just being that guy, he ends up becoming a leading man in Hollywood for a little while. He ends up becoming a leading man in some of these movies, and we ended up getting one of the greatest, you know, acting careers, and he's been in some great movies. He's done some great things, but this particular role is
I think him and Tarantino are the perfect mix.
Top five, man.
Yeah, I think they just relate to each other. I think they grew up during a similar time. Tarantino speaks his language. Sam speaks Tarantino's language. It was just a match made in heaven. Yeah. But what's really interesting is that they actually debated about Sam actually not getting the part, which kind of blew me away.
Right.
But you know, he had to really fight for it
after he auditioned.
Yeah. No, they were going to go with that guy Paul from the, you know, from the bar actually.
Sure. Yeah.
But Tarantino had to come back from fresh and re-audition, and that's when he blew everybody away. And
it's the Garden State, folks. They love it to be green here, and so there are.
I can't do a fucking video without you know, hearing it.
2 days a week, I wake up to leaf blowers. There's never enough leaf blowers. It's fall. It's the Garden State. All
right, so they're going to get into character here. You know, they were talking about foot fetishes because you know, the foot massage thing. But yeah, Tarantino is. Really big on foot fetishes, even from Dusk Till Dawn and Kill Bill. There's a lot of you know, foot references there. So Tarantino's got a big
Oh,
foot
he
fetish.
definitely has a foot fetish.
Yeah.
Even I mean,
Take care of her.
Or they thought he did, and he just made a joke out of it for the rest of his filmmaker career, because he always does.
All right, so right here they're talking about taking Mia Wallace out on a date, and Sam is a little bit shocked by it. He's like, take care of her.
Yeah.
Like, he thought, oh, you meant kill her?
Right.
And so Sam is like a little bit under the impression that there's no way he could survive this date without trying to have sex with her. So they're slowly building up the fact that, he's potentially going to have sex with her.
For the next section, the next chapter of the movie. Yeah.
All right, so here we go. We got the flock of seagulls.
Now the tone changes completely here.
Yes.
The tone goes from joking and jovial and casual to serious and tense.
Tense, yes.
Right, in this scene. And Samuel Jackson turns on a dime from being like, you're going to take her out? Really? Take care of her? To like, now he's in complete control.
Yeah, and just the way he acts towards Marvin. It's like, Marvin's supposed to be one of their guys, and just the way he talks down to him.
Yeah, right.
So, all right, so this guy, Brett, obviously he screwed Marcellus over.
Yes.
We don't really know what he did to Marcellus. All we know is he fucked him over.
They never really go into that, right?
Yeah, no, they don't, no.
I always just assumed that they were supposed to bring him the briefcase back, and for whatever reason, they held on to it.
They held on to it, yeah.
And
we never get to see what's in the briefcase.
Marvin ratted them out.
Yeah, Marvin ratted them out. You don't really know a lot about Marvin either. He's just kind of there.
Yeah.
He's like this innocent looking black guy that's just kind of in the background.
No, absolutely. But here you go. This is where Samuel L. Jackson becomes a movie star. This is it.
No, he was just made for this scene.
He goes from being an actor to a movie star.
And I gotta say, man, I used to love burgers as a kid. I stopped eating burgers, but burgers are like the closest thing to having sex with food. I know how good they are, but I know how unhealthy they are too. But no, he's loving that burger because he's a vegetarian.
That's really funny. Yeah. Yeah, no. Well, and this movie does that very well too. And so it's like,
Yeah, he's just fucking around. I mean, this is kind of a funny scene. He's kind of just fucking around with him here with the, and then here's the smart motherfucker.
You a smart motherfucker. That's
the metric system.
That's right.
He's smart enough to know that the metric system's why they don't use it in.
It's hard not to watch. It's hard to.
It's like we want the audio, man. We want the audio.
The audio here is so good. It really. You're just hanging on the edge.
Yeah, but no, I mean the actor that's playing Brett. I don't know if you know a lot about him, but yeah, I think he does a good job here. He looks nervous. He almost looks like he knows he fucked up and he knows he's about to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, the facial expression on the sipping of the Coke or Sprite is
you have to
funny
laugh.
as hell.
Yeah.
They hit the spot.
It's a funny scene, but you also can feel the tension at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what's genius about it.
And now they get the business. Now they get the briefcase now. So Travolta gets the briefcase.
He shuts Marvin down.
Yeah.
Marvin tries to tell him where it is, and he just shuts him down.
Flock of seagulls. So the briefcase is actually by his knees. And we could talk more about the briefcase. I could talk more about that later. But But while the briefcase is out, do you have any ideas of what it is? It's 666 is the code to open it up.
The code to, yeah.
There's been rumors that it's linked to Marcellus and the Band-Aid on the back of his head, but it could be anything. I think this is more of a homage to movies Tarantino grew up watching.
Right.
Well, I think maybe nuclear weapons was in one of the briefcases where he got the idea from.
Okay.
But it could be anything. It could be, I've heard an Oscar. You've heard, different color
Oscar.
lights. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the worst one.
But we don't know exactly what's
I heard
in the.
it's a Hattori Hanzo sword, which is another one I don't care for.
I mean, when they do open it though, Tim Roth does say that it's beautiful. So.
Yeah. So. I always looked at it. If you ever watch, there's a noir film. It was a famous film called The Maltese Falcon. I think it came out in the 40s or early 50s. And the entire movie, all these people are going after and killing each other over this this basically it's like almost like a trophy / statue of a bird. It's like
Yeah.
And it's a type of statue you could just put on your table, and everyone's talking about it like it's the most valuable thing on planet Earth. And at the end of the day, at the end of the movie, everyone finds out it's not made of the material that they think it's made of. Like it's supposed to be made of ivory or something like that.
Yeah.
And they realize it's just made of the same stuff that you could buy at a regular department store. And the entire time, everyone's willing to kill themselves over it because of the lore or the myth surrounding the object. And so I always looked at whatever was in the briefcase. It's not so much about what's actually in there. It's the way that people have created the myth around it.
Right. I think that's what he's going for. He wants you to believe that it's like the most beautiful thing in the world, but you never get to see what's in the briefcase.
Right. The fact is, whatever it is it worth dying over?
Yeah.
Is it worth killing yourself?
Well, even when he wants to quit, he's still determined to get Marcellus the briefcase back, so we do know it's important.
Yeah. Right, because I mean, look at all the people who end up dying because of what's in that briefcase, or almost dying because of what's in that briefcase.
But what do you think of this scene when he keeps on saying what? Like every time he says what, it pisses Sam off. But that's kind of a thing. Like people will always say the word what when they get nervous.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure. I mean, he's got a gun. He's got a gun pointed at him. How could you not be nervous? These are. So
he's doing the Ezekiel 25:17 speech here, and he was great at delivering this. But at this time, he's just kind of saying it because it's cool. He never really thought about exactly what it means until we get to the end of the movie.
They're doing a job here.
Yes.
This is them doing a job, and it's going exactly the way they planned.
Right. And now we don't get to see Seinfeld come out and try to shoot them here. But can you see the holes in the wall here? I guess you can. Yeah, they're a little bit darker there, but yeah. No. All right, so Vincent Vega and Marcellus Wallace's wife. This is a great scene right here. So Bruce Willis is playing Butch. He's a boxer. He's going to throw a fight. Marcellus is going to pay him to throw the fight. So we got Al Green, Let's Stay Together, as the song. God, this Al Green song works so well for this scene.
Yeah.
Because it looks like it's at night. It's a little bit dim. Almost like Jackie Brown, like when they go out to dinner in the dark.
It's like a dark red inside the room.
Yeah.
It fits the flow of the song, like the vibe of the song so well.
Yeah.
Like, or the song fits it rather, the way it's lit.
And then you don't get to see Ving Rhames' face, so it almost makes him like mysterious. It almost kind of gives him like a little bit of a Suge Knight vibe, that he's like this big crime boss that's very mysterious. You get to see the Band-Aid on the back of his head.
Right, and it also, in that sense, I don't like the idea that it's Marcellus Wallace's soul inside the briefcase, but not being able to see Marcellus and not knowing what's inside the briefcase at this point in the film links those two things together pretty well. Whatever is inside there, I do like that, element of it. I think that's a really good technique to build the myth around Marcellus and make him seem like he's, he's not of this world, or he's not that he's not of this world, but that he's a scary son of a gun. He's bigger than them. His myth is bigger than them.
So he's talking to him about pride. Like he's even when he's delivering this speech, you could sense in Marcellus's voice he's a little bit worried that pride is going to keep him from doing the job.
Right.
So he's going to give him all this money, but he's saying you might find a slight sting the night of the fight. He's like, you fight through that shit.
Right.
Basically, he's telling him boxers don't have an old timer's day. This is it. This is it for you. You pass your prime.
Right, for him,
just take the money and run.
For Bruce Willis's character, this is supposed to be his way out. But
so let me ask you this: what is Bruce's intention, though? He's going to take this money, and then he must have it set up so if he wins, he's got to get an even bigger boat of money once he gets to Tennessee.
Right, exactly.
So, talking about spending the rest of your life, spend the rest of my life spending that type of thing with Tarantino.
At this point in the film, and this is where, if you're watching it for the first time, these sorts of things, all of this is like starting things that will be, you'll find closure for much later in the film.
Yeah.
which I think at the time and still to this day when people watch it, they're not necessarily primed for. Their brains aren't necessarily primed for. All he's saying, you know, it's like the night of the fight, you know, your ass goes down. In the fifth, my ass goes down, right? It's like, you know, at this point in the movie, okay, Bruce Willis is going to go down.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to go down. But he's got this look on his face, like this John Wayne-esque Bruce Willis of the 90s look of like, okay, in the fifth, my ass goes down. You can see he has pride. He does have that honor.
No, he's almost reluctant to say it. In the fifth, my ass goes down.
In the movie before, you can look at his face and go, he doesn't want to throw that fight. You know, maybe he won't throw that fight, you know. So, you know, that's what ends up happening.
Well, no, since we're on the subject, what I mean, the nonlinear thing, it definitely works for this movie. And I think, you know, when Bill Simmons, he ran down the linear version of it, and yeah, it just doesn't feel as good. I think, you know, ending it on the body situation was definitely the way to go. And I do think too, in a nonlinear thing, like even though it confused some people, like you never feel like you're in like bad hands. Like you feel like you're just lost in this great world, even though you know, maybe it doesn't make sense at first.
Sure.
But I think that's part of the charm to it, putting the pieces together over time. It was definitely the way to go, the nonlinear version.
Right. Oh, absolutely. It works really well for this type of film.
Yeah, and you know, originally it was supposed to be 3 different directors directing. It was supposed to be a little bit more like 4 rooms.
Oh, okay.
Originally,
That
but
a mess. Because 4 Rooms is a mess.
Yeah.
4 Rooms is not a good movie in my.
But you know,
it's fun to watch,
Roger Avery, I think he wrote the screenplay for The Gold Watch, but Tarantino tweaked some things, and he was able to kind of connect the Gold Watch to the Bonnie situation and the you know, the Vincent Vega, Marcellus Wallace's wife. So all the movies connected. Okay. And this too, you know, you got Travolta coming up to Bruce and calling him Pluko, which is a fighter from the old days that threw a fight. He said, "What'd you say, Punchy?"
Yeah.
He said, "What? No, what'd you say? I think you heard me just fine, Punchy."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. That allusion to, you know, that, you know, real life, you know, situation where, you know, someone was supposed to throw a fight but they didn't.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, he's testing him. He's challenging him there.
And I want to credit Tarantino because Training Day kind of took this too, where you actually call a white guy my N-word. Like you see how Marcellus called Vincent Vega. That might have been the first time it was ever done.
Yeah.
It wasn't Training Day. You know, Denzel did it with Ethan Hawke in Training Day over and over again.
Right.
We're looking at all that girl with all that shit in her face. So this is Rosanna Arquette.
Rosanna Arquette's awesome.
This is Patricia Arquette's sister.
So cool.
And this is Trudy. No, that's not Trudy. The girl, the stoner girl. She's kind of like, you know, out of anybody in Pulp Fiction, she might be the most forgettable character.
Yeah, she doesn't have a line.
But it definitely, you get what Tarantino was trying to do. He was trying to give it like a stoner type of feel where you got these people just hanging out.
Right.
And so here's Eric Stoltz. You know, originally who is it? Buscemi was supposed to play the Eric Stoltz role.
Really?
And I think, I
thought Tarantino was.
I think Stoltz was supposed to play the Tarantino role.
Oh, okay.
So
I can see
Buscemi. I don't know what the fuck happened to Buscemi, but for some reason his scheduling he couldn't make it, so he had to play the Buddy Holly, the waiter.
I could definitely see Buscemi doing this though, but he would be a little more, you know.
Well, I mean,
type A.
they're both racist. They're both racist.
Eric Stoltz is a little more laid back.
Oh yeah,
which works for like when things.
No, it definitely worked out well. I think.
You know?
I think Stoltz did a great job. But this is an important scene because he's selling him the heroin, but they were all out of baggies, so he had to give him a balloon.
Yeah.
And this is what confuses Mia later on. So it's a key. What do you call it? Mishap here that he doesn't have any.
I don't know a lot about drugs, but I guess balloons. You put heroin in a balloon.
Right. So if Mia saw that heroin was in the balloon, she would have been fine, and she wouldn't have, tried to snort it up her nose.
Right.
So that would have saved that whole situation.
Right. Well, what's great about the movie is it just like that, and it's funny because it happens in life too. This is a situation where just because of one little thing,
Right.
now something goes wrong. Like,
Right. No, so when Stowe says you fucked her up, you deal with it. And when you think about it, it's his fault why he's in this situation.
Right, because he didn't
didn't
wasn't
have the balloon.
responsible.
Yeah.
He wasn't a responsible drug dealer.
That's right.
You hear that, drug dealers? Be responsible. Carry balloons.
So at this point, heroin is coming back in a big fucking way. So I guess in '94, heroin was making a comeback, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe coke, I don't know, was on the way out.
I'm not.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I know. We're not drug sailors. We're not drug addicts. Yeah. The only drug you've ever done is marijuana, right? I've never smoked a cigarette, so what the fuck do I know about selling drugs?
I just drink a beer now and then.
Yeah. You know what some fucker did the other day? Keyed it. Yeah. So did you ever think about the fact that Bruce Willis would have been the one to key Travolta's car when he's talking about some dickless piece of shit fucking my car?
Yeah, that's what we're made to assume that, right? That it was Bruce Willis.
You'll never know. Yeah.
I never knew it. I also feel like if that's what we're supposed to assume, that's one of the weaker things in the film, because it just doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Yeah, it could be anybody. But it also leads you to believe, like, it makes you think about how much time actually passes between all these different sections of the movie. Like, is it a month? Is it a week? Is it a couple days? All right, so here's the heroin scene. This is, what is this, Bullwinkle? The Centurions? I'm trying to think of the name of the song, but this is more surfer music. It's a beautiful scene, though. It makes you, I mean, the way they shot this, it actually makes you want to fall in love with heroin, just by the way the music goes, by the way they shoot the lighter. They see it bubbling like that. It's just it's almost like an erotic piece of movie making with the heroin.
For a heroin addict, that's what it is. It's
so you're sticking the needle in.
You're romanticizing that sort of the whole act and process of getting high.
Yeah, it's almost like an orgasm when the syringe is coming down with all the blood, and then you see Travolta react. It's almost like, he just let it out.
Yeah.
And he just looks like he's on a incredible high.
Sure.
When we first saw this movie, we criticized the background shots of the film looks when they're driving, but I think that was on purpose. It's almost like an homage to that style of filmmaking.
Yeah.
So now we get to see Uma Thurman. There's always been something weird about Tarantino and Uma Thurman. They've always been, Tarantino was always a huge fan of her work, even before Pulp Fiction. They were always, I think, attracted to each other. Not in a relationship way, but it's almost like she was the. Tarantino said that was his favorite character to write was Mia Wallace.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This is kind of weird. Could you talk about the song here? What is this, Son of a Preacher Man?
Son of a Preacher Man. Yeah.
Yeah, Tarantino, he knew, like, he always wanted to use this song for this scene.
Right. Which is something that a lot of directors do. Is when they start, storyboarding a scene.
It's almost like they're trying to build anticipation with this song, because you see them talking to each other, but they're not really meeting yet.
Yeah.
There's actually a deleted scene, which is very important, because she keeps on calling him an Elvis man throughout the rest of the movie. But in that scene, you could actually see her saying, Elvis man, are you an Elvis man or a Beatles man? And then Travolta says, yeah, I'm an Elvis man.
I'm assuming that Tarantino's also an Elvis man.
But I think, too, like, he loves Elvis. You saw it with True Romance. And that's another thing that might be in the briefcase. It might be some type of homage to Elvis.
Oh, okay, there you go.
But I think this scene is really showing that she's excited.
Once again, remember, this is a great way, if you're looking at it from the eyes of, like, these two characters are about to meet, and instead of just him walking in and her saying hi, she's talking to him from another room through a telecom.
The intercom,
Or intercom.
Yeah,
so by doing that, it continues to build tension. He's really good at, building some tension, or, anticipation, I think is a better
Anticipation,
word.
yeah.
Building anticipation for these two characters to meet, because you heard them talking about it in the intro to the film.
Having sex, right?
Yeah, like, yo, take care of her. Hey, I'm gonna chew my food and take her home. No big
Well,
deal.
I mean, initially I think Sam thought take care of her, like kill her off.
right.
But then the other thing is how you know what she looks like. She's an attractive woman. How are you not going to try to fuck her by the end of the night? and I think Bill Simmons showed this to his son, and the son was like, oh, he's probably going to try to screw her, right? And then Tarantino's really good at, you think they're going to go this way, they go this way with it, and this is how the heroine ties into it.
Exactly.
So
Jack
here's Jack Rabbit. All right. So this is a cool scene here. So the square thing. Yeah, I think. Yeah, this is definitely. So a lot of this movie is about paying homages to different directors. And I can't remember. It might be Godard. I could be wrong about that. But the square thing. She's like, don't be a square, Vincent. So yeah, Jack Rabbit Slims. This is probably where most of the budget went to, was this Jack Rabbit Slims thing, man.
This is where a lot of the budget went to.
It really is beautiful. It's funny, Tarantino hates the 50s, but like this is really out of the 50s, right?
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
This whole Jack Rabbit Slims. Well, yeah, I mean, it kind of pays, it's a 50s themed restaurant, right?
He hates 50s movies?
Well, he just thinks it's the worst decade for movies.
Oh, okay.
I could see that because...
Maybe from Hollywood movies.
I'm just sure a lot of the stuff that came out in the 50s is very dated.
There were European, there were still international films that, but I think certainly 50s culture. Elvis is started in the 50s, and then big time car culture started in the 50s. 50s was the golden age after World War II for United States, so United States kind of became a superpower for the 40s into the 50s. So 50s kids, teenagers, and young adults kind of benefited from that surge in the economy. So you get, and you also get Marilyn Monroe from the early 60s, and you're getting a 50s, 60s melting pot.
Yeah, it was kind of like the glory days between World War II and Vietnam.
There was good music. Rock and roll kind of born in the 50s, or at least the commercialized version of rock and roll was born in the 1950s, and that's what you see a lot of here.
Yeah, no, it's a cool restaurant, man. It really is. I mean, when you're talking about the cinematography, I think this is one of the best things of the movie.
Yeah. Oh, it's so cool.
And it's funny, they promote Jack Rabbit. I think they mentioned Jack Rabbit Slims in Reservoir Dogs, and even later on in Pulp Fiction.
Reservoir Dogs? Really?
Yeah, I think on when Michael Madsen is screwing with the cop, they mention with it on the radio. And then you can hear the advertisement when Bruce is walking back to his apartment too.
That's really cool because that movie came before.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of ties between Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. Steve Buscemi being one of them. One of the theories out there, I think it was Greg that said this. Like there he is, the waiter, Buddy Holly. He stole the diamonds. He got out and became a waiter. And they even use a lot of different names.
Yes,
and, they use Clarence, Marcellus, Bonnie. These are all Tarantino names.
That Mr. Pink survived Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah. I thought he got caught at the end. You could hear the cops telling him to give up the diamonds, right? But, I mean, what do you think of Uma Thurman's looks, though? I know you don't like to talk about looks, but, I mean, do you like the wig on her? She's on the cover.
You think it looks too much like a wig?
I mean, no. I mean, she's really like a blonde, right? But I think I definitely prefer her as a brunette. Yeah.
There's something unique. She looks very unique. She also looks, the way she looks, no other woman kind of looked like that. And that's where you remember. These are characters, and they're very kind of unabashedly characters. He's creating characters. They don't look like your typical person you see on the street. They're more like graphic novel characters. And she looks. I think she's. I can use the word sexy. I think there's something sexy about her.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, no, you could definitely tell they're both. I mean, I think he's trying to show that they're both really attracted to each other while they're, trying to get to know each other here.
Oh, they're trying not to pay attention to each other.
Right.
They're doing these things. discuss.
uncomfortable moment of silence.
Yeah, that's a
Well, let's talk about it. I think what kind of goes under the radar here is she's in an interracial relationship, 30 years ago, which was like unheard of at that time. So it's a little bit of a weird situation.
I never thought.
I mean,
about that.
I mean, they show Marcellus and her a couple of different times, but it's very, very, sudden though. They both have like sunglasses on. They're kind of just eating in the background.
Right. Yeah, they're there. Yep, that's a good point. A little before its time. Well, somewhat. I mean, there were interracial couples.
Yeah, I mean,
since the 70s, but yeah, no, going into the 80s.
Well, I don't think it's more of an interracial thing.
Yes.
I think it's more about maybe she just wasn't, happy with the lifestyle. Maybe. I mean, why is she so? It almost comes off to me as she's more into Vincent, and Vincent's trying to kind of just do the right thing and just get this date over with.
Right.
It seems like she's pushing for more of the the fancier stuff here.
Well, I think she's looking to connect. I think she's looking to socialize. I think she's looking to have a good time. That's what he was hired to do.
Take her out, show her a good time. Make sure she don't get lonely, right?
You know, but they obviously, they're going to get close.
And here she's basically talking about Kill Bill here, like the Fox Force 5. Like all these foxy chicks that all had a different specialty. It's almost like setting the stage for Kill Bill.
Right.
Her specialty, what was her specialty? Knives?
Yes. Yeah. That was her.
So she's talking about a pilot.
She got to tell a joke on every episode, and she doesn't want to tell it to him.
Yeah, this is where he says, "What a jip."
She tells him later on.
Yeah.
And that's another example of like, okay, we're going to introduce this to you, but we're going to take it away and give it back to you later on.
Yeah.
That's one thing that he does a lot in this film.
Yeah, no, I love the music here.
He does it in this film better than any other film he's ever made,
And so here's the $5 shake thing. He's amazed that you could spend $5 on a milkshake.
What's funny is it is like $5.99, $6.99 for a shake wherever you go.
I think some places it's 18 actually. Yeah.
Well, they better put vodka in it then.
Yeah.
Or bourbon then. Yeah. So again, the way he uses food, the way
I love the way he used the song here when Travolta was like, I didn't know what was $5. It was a pretty fucking good milkshake. It was on the bonus disc for Pulp Fiction. The name of the song is not coming to me now.
Yeah. He uses like 3 different songs here, and they all.
No, he uses a lot. Yeah, he uses a lot of good Jack Rabbit Slim songs.
Yeah, and now here comes the uncomfortable silence. They don't really know what to say to each other.
Right, and this, I think it was your music teacher, Mr. Gatzik. Later on, they used that. For the end of the
After they're coming back
when they're coming back from saving her,
overdose.
Is that what you call an uncomfortable moment? That was the real uncomfortable moment.
Right. Yes. Yeah. No. He was the only one to ever point that out, and I thought that was really ingenious.
Yeah, and she says here, that's when you found somebody special, when you could just shut the fuck up and listen.
That runs through my head a lot. I think about that a lot because when I'm with a friend or I'm with my girlfriend or. I always think, I don't have to talk about just anything. I kind of like just sitting here and, just taking in whatever we're taking in, Probably not the best thing for an audio video, but, no, absolutely. Uncomfortable silence, it's a very relatable thing between people, But there is something special about just being able to sit with someone and not having to talk,
So you know what was funny about this movie too? Grandma was a big Travolta fan. I think she met him, around the Saturday Night Fever days.
Grandma Jean.
Yeah, and she, she never liked this movie. Every time I tried to show it to her, she never got it, and I don't know. Maybe it was too violent for her. I don't even know why. But I think, too, like the violence is another thing we could talk about. It's just, I don't really think it's that violent of a movie, but I think because the violence comes at unexpected times, I think that's why people definitely overreacted to it.
Sure. Well, you also have people, misfit adults doing drugs.
Yeah, we haven't really seen any. We did see guys get shot up
doing jobs
in the beginnings. So yeah, I do like it when you come back from the bathroom and the food is finally there.
Oh yeah, that is nice.
Because I think when I was a kid, I remember a lot of times where it just felt like the food took forever to come out. So that is pretty funny. But yeah, it's funny how they're smoking and eating at the same time, smoking with the milkshakes.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of people who do that still. I'm
So
sure.
yeah, so
But
he's
you can't
eating
do it in
he's
a
eating a
restaurant
steak,
anymore.
she's eating a burger.
Yeah.
Most people don't eat like this anymore. 30 years ago, right?
Right. Oh, no,
Right.
that's
You never eat like this.
There's plenty.
When's
of
the last
people-
time you've had a
There's
burger?
plenty of people still. Well, I'm pescatarian, so it's different. I still have unhealthy food.
Yeah, I mean, I eat steak, but I can't eat a burger anymore.
Love my French fries.
The most unhealthy burger is Five Guys. They rank them.
Oh,
So
really?
That's funny. Yeah.
Oh, I'm surprised.
I don't know what Jack Rabbit Slims would rank on that.
Oh, I'd be curious to see that. Absolutely.
All right, so what are they talking about here again? Let's see if we can remember.
No.
So now he brings up the foot massage thing that Marcellus actually threw someone out of a building for massaging her feet.
Right. And that's part of the fear. That plays into the fear of, if I touch this woman, I'm going to get thrown off
A building, yeah.
building. And she's saying, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
They threw him off a building for whatever reason they had for throwing him off a building. It had nothing to do with me, And he, the only thing he touched was my hand at our wedding, when he shook it, so that, and so, that ties back into what happened earlier. And so now he's getting into that. Yeah. And you could tell he's having a good time with the myth surrounding it.
Yeah.
Because people love drama, no matter how old you get. People love drama. Just like middle schoolers like it, adults like it too. They just call it something different.
No, I mean, really, that story, it sounds like something Suge Knight would have done back during Death Row in the 90s. It does sound like something like that. So that whole thing I think it sounds believable to me. But,
Sure. Yeah.
But according to Mia, it never happened.
Right.
He said, when you little scams get together, you're worse than a sewing circle.
Well, that goes into a lot of things, and it happens in so many different ways. People will take something that they hear that part of it is true, and then they add all these different layers onto it to make it juicier, juicier story than what it actually is.
Yeah.
And that's what
Misinterpreted,
That's why they
yeah.
call it gossip. It's
Gossip.
gossip.
It's like Star Magazine stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. There's truth to the rumor, but there's also a lot of stuff that's just bullshit that was thrown on top.
And he was Samoan, right? The guy that he threw off the building?
Yeah.
Wouldn't so much call him fat.
Well, I would have. Yeah, I can't say that word, but what's he gonna do? He's Samoan.
That's right.
That's why Rock had to. That's why the Rock had to get liposuction.
Yeah, no, we mentioned that in the other anniversary 10 years ago. Yeah, I think we did
We
mention
mentioned
that.
the Rock's like liposuction.
Yeah, but that wasn't a watch along. Yeah, well, I mean, you could think Howard Stern's the one that told everybody that, but he told Howard Stern. So. All right, so now they're going to have a trophy. This is going to be a dance contest. All right, so I mean, I think what really helped this movie a lot, besides the Palme d'Or, I think this scene right here, it brought back nostalgia for Saturday Night Fever. I think this is what got people like my grandmother to be interested in it. It's Travolta dancing, and just the way the dance sequences were shot. It was great.
And I love him right there because she says, "Dance and dance good. You better."
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do.
And then he
says, "You asked for it." Yeah.
Shot, you asked for it, and that's not Vincent Vega talking.
That's Travolta,
John Travolta going, "You asked for it."
What do you think? What did you think in the behind the scenes
I
when
love
Tarantino's dancing with them in the background? It's funny as hell, right?
Oh yeah, because he looks so goofy.
Yeah.
It's funny because he makes
He's like a kid making this movie.
coolest movies, but he's like the least cool looking person. And I think he probably knows that. But when you're a filmmaker, you're kind of a nerd.
Yeah, no, I remember that they tried to do this in.
Much science.
But speaking of The Rock, didn't they try to do this and Be Cool? with Uma Thurman and Travolta,
There
and
was, like, a
I
dance
remember people
sequence
thought like the
there.
dance sequence, and all they could do is think about Pulp Fiction.
Lukewarm. It was
But
like a lukewarm
I think,
thing.
yeah, the way this is shot, you get to see both of them dancing, their full bodies.
Well, he's got a wide shot.
It's a wide shot, yeah.
And then he goes in very close.
Now he goes
behind
tight.
her shoulder,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah, Uma looks good doing this. Yeah, she looks great. And Travolta's got all the dance routines down. The Batman. Was that the wave?
right. He's lit a little better than she is here, and I don't know if that has anything to do with her bangs or her hair, you know. But then everything's a little dark, you know, but in a good way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if it was bright, it would look like a very cheesy.
I mean, but
their
what do you-
faces- Their bodies are lit and their faces are dark. If you notice that, like those white shirts kind of pop, and then you still see the things around them, but
Yeah.
the shadows on their faces. You know, that's important because if everything's too bright, it just looks.
You don't want to be
It could be kind of
overexposed.
hokey and cheesy.
Okay.
And you ride a fine line with a scene like this, you know, because they're just dancing, they're just moving, wobbling around. You know, it's a fun song, and they're just having fun, you know, and but then you start to wonder, back to the plot. Now they're dancing together. What comes next? Usually, when a man and woman dance together, it could lead to other things, you know. So, and here they come in, they walk into the apartment dancing. So now physical contact has been made. What's going to happen next?
Yeah, they both seem very happy. They're almost both on like a little bit of a high here.
And they are. He's still riding the high of his.
They got the trophy. Apparently, they stole the trophy. They didn't win. If you watch the trivia track, it says they didn't actually win the contest. They stole it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but yeah,
They didn't. But they didn't show that.
Yeah, so there's the
So
another.
you don't know that.
There's the other uncomfortable moment of
See,
silence.
see, stuff, info like that doesn't do anything for me because they never reveal that.
Mia Wallace playing Batgirl. You'll be a woman soon. This was a huge hit. Now, can you remember? Did this come out at the time of the movie, or was this already a hit like beforehand? I want to say this became a hit in the '90s because I do remember it being like on MTV's Top 20.
Be a woman soon, really?
Yeah.
I think it was a Neil Diamond song.
Was it Neil Diamond?
Yeah, it was a Neil Diamond song. I'm not sure if this version.
Yeah, the song definitely
is
works.
his version, but yeah.
Yeah, it's because you kind of go from high to low by the end of this song. You get to see Travolta in the bathroom.
Yeah,
So-
and that was another thing I wanted to mention. You know, he's still feeling the high from his heroin. He took that heroin before he went on this. He took it
Yeah,
out.
it wasn't like it was the day before. It was on the way there. Yeah,
And she's been taking coke throughout the day. So
she was coked up in
they're
the
both
bathroom.
high.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that's an important thing to
Yeah.
keep in mind. It's not the most important thing, but it's important to keep that piece there, the high of it, and then the come down of it. And you know, it's funny, we were talking about it before. She's dancing. She's just dancing by herself, having a good time. And here she goes to. When he comes out of that bathroom, he's in the bathroom trying to convince himself. He's not. He's gonna finish his drink and he's gonna leave. You know, he wants to stay, but he's trying to convince himself to leave. And if she doesn't pull out that baggie and she doesn't snort it, the question still is, would they have done something together? Would they have gotten physical? Would they have had sex?
You know, I never really thought about it, but it's almost like this had to happen in order
Right.
to just have that not take place.
Have that not right, exactly. Yeah. Because
Because you know,
she
there are times where sex can be uncontrollable,
right, and
especially in this setting, in this environment.
she might have not let him leave. She might have said, "No, you have to stay." You know,
Yeah.
your boss is my husband, and I don't want you to leave yet. You know, like she might have
Yeah.
found a way to keep him to stay.
Yeah, you know the funny thing is Tarantino actually worked at a porn movie theater, but you know what's funny is he he gravitated away from that stuff when it comes to movies. Like, not a lot of his movies are very sexual when you think about it. You know, you don't really get to see like a lot of nudity and sexuality and stuff like that.
Right.
Because I think he finds that stuff boring. Like, there's a time and a place for it, but it's not for his movies. Sure. All right, so here's the scene. So she sees the, you know, the baggie. Let's see if it's just tough to kind of, all right. So the heroin, what color does it look like from here?
It's still white.
It's still white. So it's tough to tell what it is.
You don't know the difference. Yeah, she didn't know the difference. So she just snorted.
Yeah, she looks
heroin.
like she's crying.
And if you go back to the Eric Stoltz scene, he bought the most powerful heroin that he had.
Yeah. He did say that, yes.
Yeah. It's the most powerful stuff he ever sold before. So it gives that.
And you're not supposed to take heroin up the nose, right?
No, of course. No, you're not.
Never, right?
You know. And if you're not a heroin addict, you're not used to taking heroin.
Yeah.
It's going to be that much more lethal to you if it's that bad of a dose.
So she's foaming in the mouth. She's bloody. He knows he fucked up right away.
Yeah.
And this is even worse. Because even if he did have sex with her, there's a good chance Marcellus would have never knew. But this situation, it's almost like, man.
Right.
So that's a famous shot right there when he makes the left-hand turn.
Right.
I think
just got so bad. It went from having sex with his wife to, oh my God, I might have just killed his wife. What's worse?
Yeah, you know? Yeah. Oh yeah, this is way worse. Now Travolta's great in the scene.
And this is you, Robin. Eric Stoltz, he's eating his.
You know,
his
I don't eat cereal anymore, man.
You used to, and the phone. He's having a good time. He's eating his cereal. The phone starts ringing, and he.
I still don't answer the phone. Nobody answers the phone anymore.
Yeah,
Nobody answers the phone anymore.
You don't answer. Well, people should answer the phone.
Look at this. He's just contemplating.
He's casually ignoring the phone.
And there's your famous cereal box.
Yes, the Fruit Brute.
Fruit Brute.
It's some fake cereal that they having cereal at like midnight.
Stoltz is great in the scene, though.
Having cereal.
What does he say here? That's what I'm going to tell this motherfucker right now. He's talking about. You know, the other thing is too. He's talking about drugs over the telephone, somewhere which is a no-no.
Probably North Hollywood.
There's a stoner girl there, but look, he's talking about drug shit over the telephone, which you can't do. That's why he's pissed.
Right. He's trying to, exactly. This is where he's going to bring him over. Got to figure out.
He's like, you fucked her up. You deal with it.
This is such a great scene. And the dialogue here is so good. It's so back and forth. The energy is so kinetic. And then once they get inside the apartment together.
Yeah, no, I love what Travolta did here, though. It's just, it's so good. You know, he just said, fuck it. I gotta tell this guy exactly what's going to happen if he doesn't help me. He's like, Marcellus Wallace. Do you know how Marcellus Wallace is?
Right.
If you don't help me right now, I'm a fucking grease pup. Now I will be forced to tell him that you let her die on your lawn. So come here, help me. And then he has the thought of what's Marcellus going to do to him. So they're both like in fear of Marcellus here.
That lawn is kind of fake, actually. I think it's a little too green. It's a little too green for California.
Yeah, it's like right out of Beetlejuice or something.
A little too green for California lawn. I think, or they did a fantastic job watering that lawn. Regardless, you know, he convinces him like, if you don't help me, you know, it's right. We're both.
The funny thing here, well, was it Rosanna Arquette? Look, she's so bitchy here. It's funny because
you just woke her up out of sleep. She was in a deep sleep.
Right. But by the end of the scene, she's more into it than anybody. So this is funny.
Right. Because she's freaking crazy. These people are crazy. You know. And another film thing. Notice how big the window is in the door. Yeah.
Well, you see them going back and forth.
Right.
Do you like that style of filmmaking?
It's a quick pan.
Yeah.
And it's handheld.
Yeah.
Because
it's trying to show chaos.
Because
tension.
It is chaotic. It's all about chaos. Like, she's gonna die if they don't figure something out now. But
did he really need to find this little medical book though?
Well, because he's never actually done it before. So
Yeah, but I don't. Well, first of all, does he ever even find it?
he doesn't want to kill her.
But does he find it though? I can't even. You know what? We've seen the movie so many
never
times.
finds
He
it.
never finds it, right?
He never finds. So he
Right.
spends about.
Yeah. Well, he knows enough to know that you don't stab her 3 times. You just got to stab her once. But it's
Right.
got to be hard enough to go through the breastplate.
He never actually.
My favorite part of Travolta here is like a felt pen, a fucking black magic marker.
Yeah. Right.
It's like he just has like no patience.
Well, it's like if you were going to take a COVID test, you know how to take a COVID test now, but you follow the directions anyway because you don't want to screw it up.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing. It's like,
Oh, what a
I'm
waste!
not
What a
gonna
waste
needle
of money
through
that
somebody's
was. That
chest.
COVID
Let me
test.
follow instructions so I'm not.
Yeah.
So now he has to do it like,
Yeah.
okay, based on memory.
Yeah. Did he really need the black pen or the magic marker though? I guess he did.
He wanted something to aim for.
Yeah, I
You know,
guess.
you
I
have
guess you're
something
right. Yeah, you want to be exact. No, this would actually not work in real life, though. This adrenaline shot. So let's make that clear. Yeah, and someone actually did hyperventilate during the premiere of this, which is really friggin' cool. I mean,
Look at that
just
shot.
shows.
What a great
Yeah, that's a
shot.
great shot.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
The close-up of
close-up
Stoltz
of
looking
his
at the needle.
eyes.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the exact filmmaker who influenced that.
Was it Godard or?
Sergio Leone.
Oh, it was Sergio Leone.
Sergio
Okay.
Leone.
Yeah, he loved Sergio Leone.
That's
Yeah.
that's
Give me
the
that.
exact influence. You know, like taking that type of shot. But now, yeah. So they're
Look
here we
how
go.
nervous Travolta is. He's like, am I gonna kill her? Am I gonna?
Even
So-
without the dialogue, everything, all the movements, everything's so quick. Everything's like so in the moment. You know, we can feel it as we're watching it now.
And look at Roseanne Arquette. 1 minute she's a bitch, the next minute she's like
She's all
salivating
about
over
it.
this.
She's,
She's like getting off on it.
you don't have a lot of female fans, do you, Robbie? You're using the word bitch a little too much.
I don't have any female fans. It's 100% male. Don't worry about it.
Okay, well, we'll get
Yeah,
you.
no, I don't know. I guess women don't like professional wrestling,
That's
even
not true.
even though they're half.
That's not true.
Well, I don't know. Not my style of pro wrestling. I guess not.
All right, here we
But
go.
here we go. Yeah, look at that look. Boom, and then
Her eyes open up. She's sitting up now and she's got the needle sticking out of her.
now, who do you credit for this? The way they make Uma look at Jack Rabbit Slims, and the way they make her look here, like she looks like death
A
here.
lot of credit, well, to her, but also credit, of course, to makeup.
Makeup,
you
yeah.
know? Makeup, costume, and of course
Yeah,
Quentin.
it's-
That.
Yeah, she looks. Yeah,
transformation.
I remember Hank, the acting teacher, said that he thought Uma Thurman was ugly. I mean, I would definitely disagree with that, but when you see this scene right here, it's hard to disagree with it.
And in a very dark, here's a dark part of the commentary is like,
That's that uncomfortable moment of silence I was telling you about.
yeah, really well said. Yeah, no, when they're driving back to her place, they don't say a word, and that's the uncomfortable silence.
Yeah.
But here he has this.
Oh, the ketchup thing. Yeah, I thought this was
This
cool.
is where
This
we
was
come
cute.
back to the ketchup thing.
Baba tomato, maybe baby tomato, little tomato. She says
Yeah,
ketchup.
because it closes the loop on their night. They
Yeah.
went on a date together, but it wasn't a date,
Yeah.
but it was.
Well, Travolta's acting like a selfish here, though. He's all you can tell. All he really cares about is just not getting in trouble. So you have to say there's a lot of flaws in his character.
Right.
I mean, wouldn't you agree with that? Like he's kind of a screw up. Like the reason they sent him to Amsterdam is because he wasn't very good at his job.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And once again, he doesn't really get the job done here. Well,
He got her home.
Got her home, yeah.
Right.
Got her revived. They're not in the
He
hospital
almost
either.
killed her. And so let me make a quick comment because this is I've never realized this before, and thanks to you for noticing the contrast between the way she looks when you first meet her and now she looks like death.
Right.
So
Is it as simple as just not wearing makeup? I don't want to say that.
no, it's a symbol of wow, he's a heroin addict. He had this wonderful, beautiful night with this beautiful woman, and even if she doesn't become like his bride or whatever. Like, he just proved, like, he can be a real human being with another human being and have a wonderful connection.
No, there's definitely great qualities
But,
about
let
it.
me finish. But what ends up turning this whole night from, like, this wonderful connection to almost literally killing her, she looks like death, is the thing that is his drug addiction. The fact that he really is a screw up. He's an addict. He's a junkie. He is a junkie.
And shouldn't he have been responsible enough not to leave the heroin out there?
Yeah. Well, it's not. No, it was in his coat.
Oh, it was in his coat.
He's an addict. When you're an addict, you leave drugs around. And so just to kind of like look at that, to pinpoint that as like that character, John Travolta, Vincent Vega, the Vincent Vega character, he's got the sweetness of Travolta, but he's got the darkness
of Vincent Vega.
Of these types of characters. Yes, of Vincent Vega.
The Vega brothers.
And so that there's a duality there. He has
and look how sadistic his brother was in Reservoir Dogs.
Right.
He was the most ruthless motherfucker in that movie. And that was he's playing his brother.
Right, exactly.
All right, so this will be our last scene. We're talking. So this is Christopher Walken. Did you know that's the woman from Dusk to Dawn, the hostage in the hotel?
Oh my God!
Yeah, I never noticed it. It's her though, because you don't really get a close up of her.
Yeah.
All right, here's your guy, Christopher Walken, Captain Coons.
Yes, he's everybody's guy. What are you talking about?
All right, so I mean. So this is Tarantino tweaked Roger Avary's screenplay with this scene. He added it to it. He gave it a little bit of a spark. But this is what ties everything together. The Gold Watch. Just talk about Christopher Walken. What he does here. Does he steal the show? How impactful is his monologue here?
Steal the show is the right. I don't think anyone steals the show.
No, I've heard people say that Walken stole the show because he was so good in this.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't go that far because there's so many great performances.
I think it gives it that added element of depth, though. It's like we go from Jack Rabbit Slims to the heroin it's just like so much great stuff all at once.
Well, what's great about it is you have an actor who at the time and still now everyone respects, and he comes from the De Niro, Keitel era of the 70s. You get to have Keitel a little bit later, but he's an actor who just everybody loves and respects, and he comes in and he does this 5-minute or less performance. And it's basically in the middle of a film to kind of set up the rest of the movie. And he sets up this part of the movie, which is really the most challenging part of the film, I think, for a lot of audiences, is to hold the rest of this, both narrative.
Yeah, exactly. Why are we supposed to care about this watch? Why is it so special? Why is it so important? But, I never really thought about it like this. It's like, he's explaining the story to him about his father, his grandfather. They had to fight in wars to maintain this watch. So it sets up the war between Marcellus and Butch for the gold watch, and it's like Butch has to go through that war to get his gold watch back.
Yeah, and remember, all the main characters of Pulp Fiction, both Vega, Butch, and Jules. There's a redemption factor. They make a decision that gives them redemption.
Yes.
Some sort of redemption, and this sets up that redemption. This kind of adds that element. Look, I'm not just a someone who's who's scamming people out of money. I'm not just a scumbag. I'm not just an addict. I'm not just a gangster.
Yeah.
I can be something more than that. And no one really talks about that when they talk about Pulp Fiction. But
I've heard Samuel L. Jackson says it's a movie about redemption.
It is,
I do get that. Travolta trying to save Mia. Butch trying to get his watch back and then save Marcellus in the process, and then Sam having enough smarts to walk away from the life before he gets killed.
Right.
Travolta doesn't leave it. Ultimately, he ends up getting killed. So yeah, you're right. Redemption's a huge part of the story.
Yeah.
But what's really cool.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say what's really cool about the gold watch is I don't know if any other scene or any other two people could have brought Marcellus and Butch together. Could you think of another scenario that would have brought them together other than like two evil, Confederate rednecks that were rapists and crooked people, though it's just pretty funny.
Right, exactly.
But no, I just want to go back to Walken here. What is it about Christopher Walken that made him perfect for this scene? Because your impersonation of him was always funny, but at the same time, he in Deer Hunter. This is kind of just a nice way for Tarantino to live out that Deer Hunter, fantasy.
Yeah, sure. Which he's scary in Deer Hunter. That's a scary film.
The Russian roulette scene, but but it's definitely a different type of role for Walken in this scene.
At the time, you have Walken. I think to comment on that scene, it's a really well written monologue, and because it starts, kind of sweet and honorable, then it gets scary, and then it gets slapstick silly with the watch up his ass. Like he goes from like this talking about one generation being honorable, the next generation being in grave danger, and then the next generation
put it held together,
putting a watch up your ass. So and. We could talk about World War I, World War II.
Yeah. He's basically, reflecting on 3 different wars.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, 1, 2, and then Vietnam. Yeah, it's crazy.
And all those, and I think in a funny way, it's a commentary on the way people perceived each of those wars. The honor of one, the danger.
Well, yeah,
of
people
the
have
next.
talked about how Vietnam was such a pointless war.
Right.
And so maybe that's why the up his ass thing has ties to Vietnam. Yeah, never really thought about that.
Right, because then we became the bad guys, and people. Yep, I mean, the United States became the bad guys, or one.
But it's definitely.
Guys,
I sent that whole monologue to Grandpa, and he thought it was like a genius, like in terms of the writing of it. He was like, "Did you write it?" I'm like, "No, I did not write it."
Yeah,
but no, we don't have much time left before we lose some battery power here. But yeah, let's just talk about the scene and we'll wrap it up. So this is a funny scene. Punk even references with Drew McIntyre in Scotland.
Oh, really?
It's like if he goes to Scotland. So if Butch goes to Indochina, one guy hiding in a bowl of rice, ready to pop a cap in his ass. Yeah. So you get Travolta talking to Mia, saying how you feeling?
Right.
She's like, I never thanked you for dinner. It's like we don't want to think, we want to know.
The end of that sequence going into the next one. Yeah, it's perfect. I only want to.
So you still just see the Band-Aid. You don't get to see Butch's face or Marcellus's face until Butch runs him over. It's crazy, right?
You don't see him until much later in the film. Yeah.
And that guy Paul, he was great. The bartender, he's in the movie more than you think, actually.
Yeah.
He's not just some cameo.
A decent sized role for a movie like this with a lot of people, and he's great. He's a good.
All right, I'll end it right there. Okay, so I'm at the start of the Gold Watch. We're going to start it back. Just want to make sure everybody, if you want to follow along, just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. So we're going to start it in 5, 4, 3, 2, play. The Gold Watch. All right, Alex is going to be with me for the rest of the video. But yeah, we get to see Bruce Willis is playing Butch. He does not throw the fight. He actually kills the boxer, and he's jumping into a cab. The cab driver is actually an attractive, female woman. I think she's Colombian, actually. Esmeralda Villalobos. So she's waiting on Bruce. There we go. Yeah, I actually get to see Butch just jump right into the cab. Coolidge versus Wilson. They actually had it on the marquee right there. The Battle of the Titans. And here we see Travolta and Paul kind of marching into Marcellus's room. I think me and Alex already talked about this, but I just want to get this straight. So you get to see Mia open the door. She thanks Travolta for dinner and everything. Famous scene. We don't want to think, we want to know. Yeah, no, I guess I already touched on it, but yeah, one of the funniest lines in the movie. I'm prepared to search the earth for that motherfucker. If Butch goes to Indochina, I want someone hiding in a bowl of rice, ready to pop a cap in his ass. And you still don't get to see Marcellus's face. You get to see the Band-Aid and everything. So this is a cool scene, underrated scene right here. I guess they're at the fight. It looks like they're at the fight. I never really thought about exactly where they were. All right, so we transitioned to Butch taking off the gloves. Then all of a sudden the driver's like, "You killed the other boxing man." And he's like, "Yeah, I didn't know he was dead." And he's like, "The radio said he was dead." But yeah, man, Bruce Willis, man, he took a lot less money to do this movie. I'm really glad he did it. I just think it was the right move. It's got to be one of the smartest choices Bruce has ever made. I mean, when you talk about Pulp Fiction, like you don't really think about Bruce as much as Travolta and obviously Sam. You know, I think they definitely benefited from this more. But when you think about it, you know, it really set the stage for Die Hard with a Vengeance, which was huge. It made more money than any other movie worldwide in '95, which my favorite year of movies. And when you look at Bruce, year after year, he was involved in just something, you know, huge. You know, The Sixth Sense, Armageddon, The Jackal. I mean, the list goes on. He had a great run even after this. You know, 12 Monkeys. He did 12 Monkeys the very next year, which, you know, made a lot of money. But yeah. I mean, when I first saw these shots in the cab with the film in the background, I thought it looked a little bit Bush League, but you know, obviously Tarantino did it on purpose. You know, I think a lot of the charm of the film is nostalgia. Nostalgia with Saturday Night Fever, with Travolta, and then nostalgia even going back to the, you know, early movies from the, you know, 50s, 60s, 70s and all that stuff. You know, one of my favorite lines in this scene is, so he's taking a cigarette puff right here, which is cool. Gets a chance to relax. You know, pass me one of those cigarettes and I'll tell you all about how it feels to kill another man. Yeah, she's really attracted to the fact that he just killed somebody. But one of my favorite lines is she asks him, you know, what does the name Butch means? And he's like, we're American, honey, your names don't mean shit. So I'm actually glad that they cut the scene. There's actually an extended version of it. And yeah, it's probably one of the weaker scenes when you look at the extended version. I just think there are a couple lines that Bruce really didn't need to say. And there's one funny line that they cut. He said, you know, that's what he gets for fucking up, you know, my sport. That was a pretty funny line. But yeah, I mean, you really just want to get Bruce on his way. It's kind of a little bit of a let me up scene where he's just kind of smoking a cigarette and he looks like he's really happy, but at the same time, you know, he knows there's going to be a lot at stake just to get out of this area alive. But yeah, this is definitely between both of these scenes with Bruce and these women. I mean, you really get a little bit of downtime. But yeah, this is an underrated scene too. Not a lot of people talk about it. So Bruce is actually in the phone booth here, you know, making arrangements to go to Tennessee. He talks about the odds, like when they found that the fix was in, the odds went through the roof. Kind of led you to believe that, you know, Bruce bet on himself and he's going to double the money, and he's making plans to go to Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee. You know, Tarantino is originally from, I think from Knoxville, Tennessee. So that's why there's so many references, you know, to Tennessee here. So yeah, he's clearly making plans to go to Tennessee. So it's a really good scene. I actually like the, you know, Bruce's demeanor on the phone. He just sounds focused. He sounds just excited, you know, to actually, you know, get this done, to actually be a rich man. And, you know, he really wants to make plans with his girlfriend to just spend the rest. Kind of like the same thing from Jackie Brown with Ordell, you know, spend the rest of his life spending, you know, in one of these, you know, Caribbean places, I guess Boca Raton or, you know, maybe the Philippines, wherever. So you get to see the cab, you know, pulling up right by the motel here. So he pays the cab driver. It's like $45, and he actually tips her a little bit extra just to, you know, keep things on the hush. So I think she definitely ends up with over $100. But yeah, it's a really attractive woman for a cab driver. You could definitely make the argument that this is the more attractive woman compared to Bruce's, you know, girlfriend here. But yeah, you know, I don't really think you needed like some beautiful, you know, Latina girl, you know, to be Bruce's, you know, love interest. I definitely think it would have taken away from the scene. So some of the arguments against, you know, Fabian here is that, you know, you should have had someone like a Jennifer Beals or even the cab driver. I just don't think you wanted, you know, that to overshadow Bruce here. I think you really wanted a girl that was definitely going to play a role. All right, so Fabian, you know, this character right here, definitely gets the most criticism in the movie. I would definitely agree. She's definitely the weak link. It's definitely the one scene that I find myself kind of nodding off to, or, falling asleep to, anytime you watch the movie. But I think there's a lot of positives though in her role here. I think they wanted to find like this annoying girl that took control. She wasn't like overly attractive, and she's a little bit annoying. She definitely has an accent, but she's French though. And I think, this might have been what put the movie over the top to get the Palme d'Or, overseas. And I think, maybe this really, moved the needle in terms of, giving the movie hype. Who knows if they cast somebody else? I don't know if that scene's that effective. I think you really wanted to show, this woman kind of take control and, really dominate the scene. And then it causes such a big bang when Butch, Bruce, whatever you want to call him, I got to figure out who to call these guys by their acting names or their regular names. I'm just going to call him Bruce. But when he sees that the gold watch isn't there anymore, it's just like, holy shit, the dynamic totally changed and he's in control. She gets scared. I just don't know if this would have been effective if you use anybody else. I really don't. I think she actually did a good job here. The scene is what it is. I don't really think it's not meant to have a lot of replay value as some of the other scenes. Like, it doesn't have the kind of replay value that the Tarantino scene had, or even, the hamburger scene with Sam. Like, it doesn't have that kind of replay value, but it's kind of a weird scene here. I mean, the other thing is they're trying to show that they're in love. A lot of times when couples are in love, you want to show like a lot of the nonsense chit chat, just kind of, bickering back and forth between each other. That's like what couples that are in love do. They just kind of, talk about nothing because it's comforting. So that's what they're doing right here. She's talking about how she has a bit of a tummy, like Madonna did when she has Lucky Star. And then Bruce is like, yeah, well, don't be ashamed because you got a tummy. She's like, shut up, fatso. I have a little bit of a tummy like Madonna. So you see a little bit of bickering here. She's calling him the grumpy man in the morning. She says, I like it when you sweat. There's really some fun dialogue here. From what I remember, I think, out of any scene in the movie, this is the scene that Quentin kind of kept exactly how Roger Avery, meant it in the screenplay in terms of, the writing and everything. It's probably the most, from what I understand, it's Roger Avery's, this is his scene. They did win an Oscar for Best Screenplay, and Roger Avery did go up and accept the award as well. So right now she's like, "We're in a lot of trouble, Ari," and Bruce is just like, "Yeah, we're in a lot of trouble." But as long as they leave on time, like everything should be okay. What really fucks everything up is she forgets to watch, and that kind of magnifies everything. It magnifies the fear and the tension. But as of right now, I think Bruce is pretty confident that they're going to be able to get away clean. So yeah, the oral pleasure stuff is kind of fun. Yeah, Bill Simmons just did a podcast about this, and he basically called it, yeah, she's not a good actress. You get the one-way oral bullshit. And yeah, she's like, will you give me oral pleasure? And then Bruce is like, will you kiss it? Yes, but you first. Yeah, I would definitely agree. It's kind of like one-way oral. But it's kind of cute, though. It's kind of cute. She's like talking in French as she's getting the oral pleasure. Tarantino's really big on, foot fetishes and really, he does a lot of like pussy eating references too in his movies, even going back to True Romance, and you get to see it here. I think it's a little bit taboo. It's a little bit, out of the box compared to just like regular, intercourse. So you definitely get it. So, they're coming out of the shower here. You don't get to see Bruce Willis naked. Who's the one that told me that Bruce was naked here? You don't get to see it, but who cares? I think that was Kevin Bacon. Someone got that confused. Yeah, Bruce actually uses the R word here, calls Fabian a retard. She's like, don't call me a retard. Say, my name is Fabi. My name is Fabi. It's a funny scene, man. I really don't mind it. I think it's cool. It really just sets the tone for the eruption that's about to come. All of the fun that they're having here, and now they're talking about places to go, Bora Bora, all these different places where they can, spend the rest of their lives spending, which is a phrase that Tarantino has used time and time again. She's actually brushing her teeth here. With the towel and the robe on. It's definitely a cute scene. Yeah, brushing your teeth is very important. Very important to, take care of your teeth. Flossing, brushing. So that kind of goes under the radar there. But yeah, this is definitely a necessary scene. Anytime you're trying to, have big moments in movies, I think you always need that slow burn. You want to see a little bit of nice dialogue between the two characters before the eruption comes, and that's what it does. It's just like we're waiting. You could definitely fall asleep to it. There's no doubt about it, but. If you really want to, cause that shift in drama, I definitely think it was necessary. So Bruce actually falls asleep right here, and then he wakes up to explosions and war. You get to see a war movie here. Yeah, Tarantino's a huge, war movie fan. Obviously, he did Inglourious Basterds. This looks, I don't know exactly what this was. They actually had it in the trivia track. It's a movie that I don't remember. Yeah, but Bruce is a little bit annoyed. It's almost like, you never really thought about it until now. It's almost like a foreshadowing of, he's not going to have the day that he envisioned. He's waking up to war, and the whole day is going to be a war with Marcellus. So, it's a little bit of foreshadowing there. I never really thought about it until now. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if that's what Tarantino intended. And she's brushing her teeth again. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of lag right here. But it's necessary though, man. I like it. Yeah, he definitely got a good night's sleep. He definitely still feels a little bit relieved. So the panic is not set in quite yet. All right, so now they're talking about breakfast. Yeah, and she's telling him to get up. Look at the grumpy man in the morning. She pushes him out of bed. She's talking about how she's going to have a nice pie for breakfast. Pie for breakfast? Anytime is a good day for pie. Blueberry pancakes, blueberry pie, a thin slice of melted cheese, some orange juice. And he's like, you're going to have all that? He's like, pie for breakfast? And she's going on and on about what she's going to have in the morning. Bruce is getting dressed up. He's got the nice dress shirt on. But the plans are about to change big time. So he's going through all his luggage, all the shit that, she could have set on fire. He's going through all of it here. And eventually it's going to hit him that the watch is not there. The watch that... He's like, where's my watch? So she's a little bit in denial. Like, she seems a little bit embarrassed that she forgot it. She forgot it on the little kangaroo. She's like, yes, it was on the little kangaroo. Bedside table drawer. It was on the little kangaroo. It's like, are you sure you got it? It's like, no. Yes, you could see she basically starts crying. She did a good job with this, man. You can't tell me that she was not perfect for this. Look at that face. She's like she starts crying. She's like a little innocent tulip here. And then Bruce's demeanor totally changes. It's like, this is my grandfather's fucking watch. I don't have time to go through what he went through to get me that watch, but he went through a lot. So either you got it, you did, or you didn't get it. So which is it? I specifically reminded you to get the fucking watch. So he should have. He says this. I should have illustrated. Like all I fucking care about is the watch. All this other shit that you brought, you could have set on fire. I love that line. I'm like, man, all this shit you got me, you could have set on fire. How many times you get birthday gifts and I'm just like, man, I didn't want any of this shit. You could have set it on fire. So he just starts screaming. He starts throwing everything. He's like, fuck, motherfucker, fuck. I can't believe how stupid you fucking are. All right, so he doesn't. All right, so one of the misconceptions about this scene is my brother was under the intention that he called her a whore here. He does not say whore. So let's get that straight. And then after he does this, he's like, it's not your fault. I just got to go back and get my watch. She's like, won't the gangsters be looking for you? Well, that's what we're about to find out. No, so he doesn't call her a whore. He definitely gets upset, but I don't even think he calls her stupid. I think he's mad at himself for just not illustrating how important the watch was. Maybe he should have, you don't even know, like, if he ever told her about it. I guess he didn't. He even said, I don't have time to get into it now, but, my father and my grandfather, they went through a lot just to get that watch. And look at her now. She's so cute. She's like, I'm sorry. She's like, I'm sorry. I thought I remembered your watch. I thought I remembered it, but she just didn't get it. It's like, Bruce is like, I guess I'm going to have to go back and get my watch. She's like, won't the gangsters be looking for you? He's like, yeah, well, that's what I'm about to find out. It's a great scene here. I love Bruce's acting. I think he did a great job with it. I love the frustration. It's one of the more underrated performances in the whole movie. I mean, it really is. So he puts on his, Pulp Fiction gear here. The funny thing is, Austin, got the idea to shave his head, from Bruce Willis in this movie. Yeah, he had seen Pulp Fiction and, he was losing his hair and just thought about I love the scene right here. He's like, I'll be back pretty fast. Faster than you could say blueberry pie. She's like, blueberry pie. Maybe not that fast, but pretty fast, okay? As soon as they get into the car, they cut to him. It's like, I specifically reminded her, bedside table drawer, on the little kangaroo. I specifically said, don't forget the fucking watch. Look at that little Honda. I think it's the same Honda from Jackie Brown, too. He's like, yeah, I had to crash that little Honda. So this is a really, really cool scene. You forget, like, how far he parks away from the apartment. He actually has to go through a couple of different blocks. He goes through like this, so he's walking by different apartment doors through a fence and bushes and everything, trying not to be seen. Someone has the radio on. You hear Jackrabbit Slim's promotion. We know that. Yeah, this one, they're trying to dry laundry out by the fence. Is not exactly a great area, but it's cool. I like this scene. It definitely builds anticipation for what's about to come. Really, really like it. I like the fact that you get to see Bruce walking here. It's definitely good stuff. So yeah, this is where Travolta dies. So yeah, for a lot of people that don't like the movie, this is probably why. I remember when I first saw it, I was just like, okay, he dies and then he comes back. I just don't understand this. I was too young to even appreciate. We're watching a nonlinear movie. Even people that are older that see this, I don't think they ever really. You really have to educate them and teach them. Like, this is a nonlinear movie. It's just amazing how. A lot of people just probably haven't seen, a movie done like this, especially at that time. It was the first time I ever remember seeing anything like this. Like having the lead die in the middle of the movie. I remember when, Harvey Weinstein first read the script, he was like, how does the lead actor die in the middle of the movie? He's like, Harvey, just keep reading. It was like a struggle. They had to tell him, just keep reading. So you get to see him, he's got the key. He's going into the, the old apartment building. So initially when he comes in, Travolta's in the bathroom, so he has no idea. So Bruce is in the building now. Or in the apartment. All right, there it is. On the little kangaroo, right next to a picture of Fabian. He's got his watch. Yeah, he looks happy that he's got it. You get to see a lot of like boxing portraits, and here's the Pop-Tarts. that Bruce has in the kitchen. I guess he's a little bit hungry. This is definitely a risky thing to do. You know, if you knew somebody was out to kill you, would you really risk the extra time and make something to eat? I would say no, man. I would just jet out of there. But yeah, man, as soon as he puts the Pop-Tarts in, he sees Travolta's gun. It's a big friggin' gun too. Travolta is taking a shit. Bruce has the gun. All right, so every time Travolta goes to the bathroom in this movie, something bad happens. The first time, you know, Mia overdoses. The second time, he gets killed. The third time, you know, the restaurant gets robbed. So yeah, you don't see Travolta say anything here. You know, he's got his book in his hand. He flushes the toilet, and as soon as the Pop-Tarts come out, Bruce gets a little bit scared and just shoots him, and that's it. You know, he did not leave the life. He did not want to leave this life of being a hitman and a gangster, and it came back to bite him in the ass. The Travolta character, the Vincent Vega character in this movie is very unresponsible, I would say. He's a little bit of a goof. He's a little bit selfish. And yeah, it comes back to bite him in the ass. You know, for as much as he criticized, you know, Sam, Jules, you know, for wanting to walk the earth like Kane in the Kung Fu, at least he's still living though. So that's one of the interesting things about it. So you get to see him wipe off the fingerprints there. He's going to actually leave the gun there, which is really smart. But I mean, that just shows you how, you know, delicate his fingerprints could be. You know, you could do anything, the most heinous crime ever. If you leave your fingerprints behind, eventually that will catch up with you. HBO just had a interesting, you know, docuseries about some nurse that used to kill guys and just leave them in, you know, body bags or garbage bags. And it took them years, but eventually they got him, and it was because of fingerprints. But yeah, Bruce is going through the gate. I don't know if you would exactly call this a gated community. But yeah, you know, most directors will probably cut stuff like this out. Just seeing him get back to the car. He got back pretty quickly. As soon as he gets back, his flowers on the wall. That's all. This song could be annoying as hell. I mean, it sounds good in the movie, but trust me, if you listen to the soundtrack in the car every day, it becomes annoying. It's great because he actually used a line from the song in Die Hard with a Vengeance, where Sam is like, he's talking to Sam after they get off the phone. He says, things could be worse. I was working on a nice fat suspension, smoking cigarettes and watching Captain Kangaroo. And that's what the song says, smoking cigarettes and watching Captain Kangaroo. And then as soon as they're at a red light, there's a part in the song where it says, it's good to see you. And then he sees Marcellus. So here we go. He's at the stoplight. He stops at the stoplight. Then all of a sudden you see this big, bald, black guy in a suit with Dunkin' Donuts and some coffee. And he's like, motherfucker. As soon as they see each other. It's funny. It's so funny, man, because at first it doesn't seem like they were really that mad to see each other. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a second. He just crashes right into him. So Marcellus gets hit. So this is kind of an underrated scene. A lot of these women here, some of these women were actually friends with Tarantino at Video Archives growing up. But yeah, they kind of bring him back up. You know, he got hit, and they're like, if you need a witness in court, that guy was a drunken madman. So Marcellus takes his gun out. He's like, I'll be damned. As soon as he takes his gun out, all the women run away. That's a great shot. Bruce's face full of blood. They're trying to kind of help him out. He accidentally shoots that poor woman. I think that's one of Tarantino's, you know, either former girlfriends or former friends, actually, that was in some of his, you know, earlier movies. But here they are. They're just trying to, kill each other. They're running from each other. That shot of Bruce, this shot of Bruce right by the wall, it's a great shot. So he's just trying to hide anywhere. Unfortunately, they go into a pawn shop. Yeah, this dude reminds me of a guy that used to work at an adult video store. They look exactly alike. You get to see all these Confederate flags. You get to see all these Tennessee plates. So a lot of times, a lot of the South, not just blacks, but I guess whites too. A lot of the South, gravitated towards the West Coast over the years. Guys like Master P and Tarantino as well. I think Tarantino is smart enough to realize there's a lot of racist Confederates that moved to the West Coast, and this will be it. They have this pawn shop right here. So he's about to kill Marcellus, but he doesn't want to see him do it. Not going to let it happen. He actually uses the N-word here. So this is another instance. There's a lot of whites using the N-word in this movie. I don't know if Spike had as much criticism for Pulp Fiction as he did for Jackie Brown. But yeah, there's a lot of racist characters in Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. So this guy's name is Maynard. So he's going to call up Zed. These are some evil, nasty people right here. Marcellus is bleeding. He said, take your foot off the you-know-what. So Zed is actually a crooked cop. He's going to arrive in the chopper. But yeah, and at this stage, Butch and Marcellus, they're both vulnerable. They find themselves, look at this, they're both tied up in the basement. They got ball gags. I guess he's pouring gasoline on them. This is a pretty nasty scene right here. It's pretty crazy. The first time I had seen this scene, I was blown away by it. So this scene is really a combination of a lot of different, movies here. But ultimately, I haven't seen the movie yet. Tarantino actually talks about it in Cinema Speculation. He wrote a whole chapter on it. It's called Deliverance. And there's a rape scene in there. And very similar to this, hillbillies raping somebody. Very different than this scenario. But, he was able to kind of... tie it into the movie right here with this, as Tarantino would call it, a sodomy scene. But the first time I saw it, I remember telling my friend about it. I was like, man, that Pulp Fiction movie's kind of weird, man. There's actually a guy that gets, raped in the ass. And he didn't believe me at first. And then, he had one of those hot boxes. And, he was able to see it on pay-per-view. And he was like, yo, man, you're right. Yeah, I saw that scene. It was I couldn't believe it. So... at the time, it was you had never seen anything like this. So here comes the crooked cop, Zed. Zed, this actor was in some famous movies too. I think he was actually in The Mask. He had a nice little, cup of coffee run, I think, after this movie as well. But this isn't really, this is the worst of the worst, man. For as good as he was in this movie, I don't know if this is the first impression people have of you as a crooked cop that's going to rape, guys in the ass. I just don't know if you want to go into Hollywood with that type of reputation. But she's I think the Gimp's sleeping. So they bring out the Gimp here. The Gimp kind of goes under the radar for me. There's a lot of times where you almost forget about him. I think Batista actually brought this up on Raw. When they were doing WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, he was like, you remind me of the Gimp. But, to me, the Gimp is very, very much one of the fewer, it's one of those things that I rarely ever think about with Pulp Fiction, but it definitely did strike a nerve with a lot of people to think you could actually have a slave, tied up in your basement. There's all these different things about him. It's do you pay this guy? Do you feed this guy? How does this guy survive? It really is weird. You don't really get to know anything about him. He's totally covered up. Just the way Zed is kind of, putting his fingers on his head is just creepy as hell. So he's going to play eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Once again, they say the N-word like crazy here. So you're getting two racist hillbillies. It's disgusting, man. A disgusting scene right here. Like I said, time and time again, like the worst thing you can do to somebody is, rape them. And look at the look on Butch and Marcellus's face. Like these are two fucked up people, not throwing fights and, putting hits out on people. But man, they look like little kids here. They look like two kids that totally have found themselves in a shitstorm that they never could have envisioned. Marcellus almost looks like he's scared here. He looks scared. Suge Knight, I really think, Suge Knight was really inspired by a lot of, the initial, perception of Marcellus with all that power and everything. And I think after that, he started to put himself, more in the spotlight, to be completely honest with you. But they do the eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and they decide to rape Marcellus while Butch is going to stay with the Gimp all tied up. Isn't the first time you've seen, Bruce Willis tied up. Him and Sam were tied up in Die Hard. He had to find a way out of it. He finds a way out of it here as well, without Sam's help. A great shot right here. You see that slow motion shot when they shut the door? That's a great shot. I wonder where Tarantino got that from as well. But the funny thing is, man, the music here is definitely great. I definitely think they used the right song. Apparently, Tarantino at first wanted to use something else, but because it was a sodomy scene and because it was such an evil scene, the creators of the music didn't agree to do it. But over time, Tarantino said that he definitely made the right choice. I think it's called Comanche. It's great music. It just fits so well. Butch is able to get free. He punches the Gimp. The Gimp doesn't even have enough time to yell and scream. He takes off the ball gag. So Butch is such a great fighter and he's so powerful that I'm assuming he could just kill guys with one punch. He takes Zed's keys. He got that big Z. All right, so before he's trying to get out of the pawn shop here, he's hearing Marcellus get raped. It's almost like they're doing the hee-haw thing and they're actually celebrating and shouting about raping somebody. And then you feel here, with the look on Butch's face, it feels like he's going back to that speech that Christopher Walken gave him, that Hanoi pit of hell together, about how there's about honor and doing the right thing. And I just think Butch couldn't live with himself for the rest of his life, especially taking all that money to go with Fabian for whatever they're going to do. I don't know if he could have. I think the story is he this was always going to bother him unless he did something here. So it's kind of weird. He's helping out, the guy that he was just about to kill. But, I think the other motivation is he can mend fences with Marcellus and then he could be a free man. He doesn't have to look over his shoulder. And you get to see here, Butch goes through all these different weapons, but he settles on the samurai sword. Not the Hattori Hanzo sword, but I guess this is just a regular samurai sword. Kind of a foreshadowing of things to come with, Tarantino's love for the, the kung fu genre. So that's pretty cool. So as Butch tries to get back into the basement to save Marcellus, I think that's one of the underrated things about this movie. So many people just say, "Oh, Tarantino's all about violence." But when you see these violent acts here, you really don't get to see any penetration of the violence. You really don't. I mean, I've seen much worse shit than this in horror movies. So here you go. You get to see Zed raping Marcellus, and the Menard, the other guy, looks like, I guess he's jerking off to it or trying to get off to it somehow. Marcellus just looks like, he looks relieved to see Butch here. So it's just funny how the tide has turned. Butch comes to save Marcellus, the guy he just was trying to kill. It's crazy, man. Yeah, once again, you don't see the penetration of the sword. I thought Butch was great here. You see his facial expressions, you see his eyes. It's like, you want that gun, don't you, Zed? He's like, pick it up. I'm gonna let you pick it up. Pick it up. Pick it up. It's like, yeah, that a boy. Very reminiscent of Denzel in Training Day, the way he would talk down to people. This performance from Bruce. Yeah, Zed almost looks a little bit embarrassed here. I mean, yeah, a hillbilly crooked cop. You get me talking there, hillbilly boy? I'm about to get medieval on you. Step aside, Butch. I love that scene, step aside, Butch. And then he cocks back the gun. I have a friend named Butch. Every time I see him, I say, step aside, Butch. Marcellus just blows him away. Shoots him in the nuts. It's a great scene. It's not necessarily Butch and Marcellus coming together and becoming friends or anything like that, but you know, it's just kind of them, you know, ending things on, you know, better terms. I guess that's the best way to put it. But you gotta love Ving Rhames in this scene. I thought he was great. It's like, I'll tell you what now. I'm gonna call up a bunch of guys. We're gonna go to work on the homes here. You hear me talking there, hillbilly boy? I'm about to get medieval on your ass. That's a line that Undertaker stole in a promo as well. It's gonna be me, you, and Mr. Soon to be living the rest of his agonizing life in pain. Rape is here. Oh man, it's crazy. And Bruce is just kind of in the background, just waiting. He's like, he just wants to know that things are cool. I mean, really, the only thing Bruce loses is his LA privileges. You lost all the LA privileges deal, but the deal is that he can't tell anybody about this. This shit's between me, you, and Mr. Soon to be living the rest of his agonizing life in pain. Rape is here. So yeah, man, it was an awesome scene. In some ways, I still think this is the best scene in the movie. I mean, I think the Gold Watch. I've seen people say that it's the best, you know, part of the movie. I really have. I've seen polls where it's actually dominated polls, but it does kind of seem like the Bruce Willis section. It doesn't get the. It gets the least amount of love, I think. I think the adrenaline shot stuff, and then obviously Sam with the Ezekiel 25:17, both of those scenes definitely get more love. But yeah, this is really a nice little, you know, coming together of two guys that, you know, totally hated each other. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else in the world besides these two hillbillies. You know, that could have brought them together. I really don't. But it just shows you, you know, you could be the most fucked up person in the world, be a hitman and a whatever, but still, like you could always find another depth to just evil, and that's what they found right there. Yeah, the Gimp shit is just weird to me, but you get to see him leave the pawn shop. You know, the Honda is crashed. He says to Fabian, I had to crash that little Honda, but he gets to find it's not a motorcycle, it's actually a chopper. So what's the difference between a motorcycle and a chopper? I have no idea. You get to see the Z on the thing. All right, so the chopper actually says Grace. I think Grace Lovelace was actually Tarantino's girlfriend while he was at Video Archives. You know, one of the female, she might have been in that previous scene when they were helping Butch and Marcellus, but I'm not sure. She's a little bit annoying here, Fabian. She kind of reminds me of my grandma Dora. She's like, I was beginning to drink dreadful thoughts. Are you hurt? Are you worried? Yeah, she's definitely annoying here. She just doesn't want to leave. She starts crying. She's a little bit annoying here. She's like, Fabian, we got to hit the fucking road. They're going to miss their train. He's like, what bag? Fuck the bag. He doesn't even want to bring the bag. Like you said, all that other shit you could have set on fire. He just wants to get going. So my only question here is, where is all the money? Did Bruce take the money with him? And does he have the money? Maybe he just took it. I'm not even sure. Yeah, but I thought Fabian did a good job, though. I think you needed her for this. I think if you put Jennifer Beals in that spot, it's not as effective. Even if you put the cab driver in that spot, it's not as effective. You put, Jennifer, you don't want an overly attractive female that's going to take away from it. So I think she starts crying here. She's a little bit of afraid. She's like, "Are you hurt? I was beginning to think dreadful thoughts." He said, "Did you get the pancakes? Did you get the pancakes?" She's like, "No, I had to get buttermilk." "Are you sure you're okay?" She's annoying as hell in this scene. I mean, she really is, man. But you know, this is how the movie actually ends, like in the linear version. This is how it ends. So the whatever song that they play when Bruce is riding away in the chopper, this was actually on the Pulp Fiction soundtrack, the bonus soundtrack, the one that came out in 2002. I actually got that from. You know, this funny. I got the DVD before my birthday, and then on my birthday, I think my dad got me the soundtrack. So it was like that was like a Pulp Fiction month for me. In 2002, they re-released the soundtrack and the DVD with special features. So that's the end of the Go Watch. Okay, and for the last part of the watch along, this is the Bonnie situation. So I'm gonna start it in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and here we go. Bonnie situation. This is the last part of Pulp Fiction. So we go back to the same scene where they go to get the briefcase from Brett. So they show, someone actually hiding. And a lot of people call this guy the Seinfeld guy. He's actually holding a .357 Magnum in his hands. He's kind of just listening to Sam's speech, the Ezekiel 25:17 speech. He seemed a little bit like confused, like he seemed scared. But it's kind of weird. The funny thing is Marvin is supposed to be with them. Marvin is there, but he doesn't even let them know. Like someone else is in the room. Like they wanted to know exactly how many guys were up there. He's like he's not sure how many guys were up there. So Marvin clearly is a little bit irresponsible. He starts freaking out here after the shooting. It seems to me like Vincent's never met Marvin. Like Sam even says to him, it's like, "Vincent, this is Marvin, Vincent." Then all of a sudden, Seinfeld comes out and starts shooting at him. Seinfeld guy, he definitely looks like Seinfeld. He totally misses them. You could definitely see the holes in the wall. I guess it was kind of a rundown apartment, but I think that was intentional. You see, you already have the holes in the wall even before the shots. The shots actually didn't miss. Divine intervention. So this is the divine intervention scene where the shots totally miss, and Sam is just a little bit stunned. So Travolta goes right up to Marvin. It's like, "Why didn't you tell someone was back there? Slip your mind or something?" Yeah, the Marvin character just doesn't really have a lot of depth. It really is like a forgotten character in Pulp Fiction, but it's very vital though. So Sam is looking at the bullets in the wall. So God came down from heaven and stopped these motherfucking bullets. That's exactly what happened. So it's kind of weird here, the dynamic between, Jules and Vincent, Sam and Travolta. This is clearly a life-changing incident, for Jules. But Vincent's just like, let's just get out of here. Let's just get out of here. Let's continue this philosophical discussion in the car instead of in a jailhouse. He's like, "Don't fucking blow this shit off. What happened here is a fucking miracle, and I want you to fucking acknowledge it." I love that. I love that dialogue from Sam. I think it's just one of those things that just makes you realize, all right, I just could have been blown away. I didn't even see it coming. I should be dead, and I'm getting a second chance. So what's the point of even taking this risk again? All right, so here's the shot of them driving. So this is probably the most criticized scene in terms of like the violence in the movie. I think when people had seen this for the first time, the violence just hit you in the face, like, bam, you didn't expect it. And you could really interpret it as just it being good filmmaking. If the violence is that good, then it's just good filmmaking because you just didn't see it coming. Violence that isn't shot that well, doesn't really get criticized as much. So I could definitely see it that way. But do you ever think about Vincent actually killing Marvin on purpose here because he didn't let them know about the other guy in the room? Say, Marvin, what do you make of all this? Well, you got to have an opinion. So he actually turns around with the gun in his hand and it accidentally goes off. It's just stupid, man. It said the gun went off. I don't know why. Yeah, I mean, he's a little bit goofy. So apparently Travolta actually had to really, add some comedy elements through it to get through it because this is a little bit too, dark for him. So he really had to kind of, make it a little bit more of a comedy. I think Tarantino even said, when I wrote this, I didn't know I was making a comedy. He's like, that's just the way I got to do it. It's like the car hitting a motherfucking bump, man. I saw some crazy ass shit in my life, but God, it is nasty. Like it's just accidental. I mean, who the hell, holds on to the gun while they're talking to people in a car? It's just unbelievable. So he actually calls his friend Jimmy in Toluca Lake, in the area though. Yeah. So you kind of get the feeling that Jimmy used to be associated with Marcellus and just kind of, got out of that lifestyle and got married and married a nurse. But, he let Sam and, Jules and Vincent actually, he's going to help them, get off the road and clean up here. So this is a good scene. They're trying to wipe off the blood. I love the line here where Travolta says, "Fine, ask me nicely like that, no problem." But they're kind of bickering with each other here, and he clearly seems like they're mad at each other. You could see like a little bit of tension finally happening here. I think you could really tell that they're just annoyed at each other. If anything, Sam is a little bit more annoyed because of, Travolta's, irresponsibility and the clumsy decision making, the fact that he didn't, acknowledge the divine intervention the way he did. So you could see they're kind of reaching a boiling point here. He's talking about the goddamn towel ain't look like no maxi pad. So they're trying to clean up without making a huge mess out of it because, the nurse, Jimmy's wife is coming home, pretty soon. So they're going to try to get this done, in about an hour and a half. It's about 8:15. I think the nurse comes home at 9:30. So here's Tarantino. I think it's a really, really funny scene. Very entertaining scene. Tarantino's acting is not great, but he's entertaining as hell. And, so he made them coffee. He's like, what's on my mind right now? It ain't the coffee in my kitchen. So, it's another racist character. Tarantino's argument was that there's nothing wrong with writing racist characters. There really isn't. He said that it's the epitome of racism on Spike Lee's behalf to actually think that there's an issue with that. So I would kind of agree with that. But, I think Eric Stoltz, originally was going to play this scene, but because of Buscemi not working out, Stoltz played the other role and Tarantino played this one because he wanted to be behind the camera, for the adrenaline shot scene. But Tarantino was entertaining as hell here, man. I love the whole thing about the coffee. It must be some good coffee because, Winston Wolfe loved the coffee as well. So just the way he's talking to him, he's like, "You want to fuck my shit? You're fucking my shit up now. You're gonna fuck my shit up big time when Bonnie comes home, and I don't want to get fucking divorced." So he's worried about, his wife coming home and everything. So he's in a. So this is another interracial marriage. Pam Grier was supposed to be in the movie, and Pam Grier could have easily played the nurse if the nurse actually is black. The little shot that you see of her, she actually is black, but there was rumors that Pam Grier was going to play, the Rosanna Arquette, Eric Stoltz's wife, but that just wasn't going to work because Stoltz actually yells at her. So that's why Pam Grier didn't get the part, but they were going to work something out next time. So I love this scene. You get a shot of Marcellus with his sunglasses and on the cell phone too. This is before cell phones really became popular. It's one of those big Johnny Cochran cell phones. So he's talking to, so you actually get to see him and, Uma Thurman together. The only time you get to see them together. So there's actually a what if shot right here where, Bonnie comes in as the nurse and she sees them with the dead body in the living room. So that's like a what if shot. So Uma Thurman's got the sunglasses on here. So this is a great scene. He's like, I don't want to hear about no motherfucking ifs. He's like, send me the cavalry, which should be coming directly. Say, you ain't got no problem, Jules. Go up in there, chill them boys out, and wait for the wolf. She should be coming directly. As soon as he hears it's the wolf, it's like better than he expected. He said he thought it was going to be the cavalry. It's going to end up being the wolf. The wolf is someone that solves problems. I don't know. Did you really need, someone to come in and help them clean this up? I guess you did. I mean, look, when you're trying to get that done in that amount of time, you got to wash off all that blood. You got to find somewhere to dispose the body. I guess you really needed it. Yeah, I think you really needed someone to. This is a state of emergency. So you get to see Harvey Keitel here at a hotel. It looks like he's at some sort of funeral home, or I think he was actually at a gambling. This was actually a gambling party overnight. So there he is. So he's writing notes about what to expect. Drives really fast. So this was like. It's supposed to be like a half-hour drive. He gets there in under 10 minutes. Drives really fast. Harvey Keitel was really vital to Tarantino's success. I mean, it's incredible. Tarantino loves Harvey Keitel, and it was really just a dream come true here. That if it wasn't for Harvey Keitel, I don't know where Tarantino would be right now. He actually got the script of Reservoir Dogs. Lawrence Bender is the producer of this movie, but. He had an acting teacher that knew Harvey Keitel, or the wife knew Harvey Keitel, and that's how he got the script for Reservoir Dogs, and the rest is history. So he deserves a lot of credit. Harvey gave them legitimacy, but it's a great scene. He basically tells people what to do, but he's very blunt. It's like, I think fast, I talk fast. I'm here to tell you what to do and when to do it. So, it's a pretty funny scene. My favorite part about this scene is I thought I smelled some coffee back there. Jimmy, will you make me a cup? He's like, yeah, how do you take it? Lots of cream, lots of sugar. So he's just kind of looking at the car right here. He said, you guys look like a bunch of guys that blew somebody's brains off. So Marvin's actually in the trunk right here. Yeah, the dead mannequin of Marvin, it doesn't look great, but, the car is all bloody. So you gotta clean off the car before you could be seen in public. If a cop sees him, he's gonna think, it looks like a car where someone's head just got blown off. So it's a really, really funny scene right here. So he's really gonna get a taste of the coffee here. Then he starts kind of barking orders at everybody, which he's got to do. You don't have a lot of time. But it just shows you the goofiness and the, lack of intelligence of the guy that Travolta's playing. He's the one that fucked up. He's the one that shot Marvin in the face. And still, he doesn't want to be, someone barking orders at him. He's like, a please would be nice. A please would be nice. Excuse me? I'm here to tell you what to do. If I'm curt with you, it's because time is a factor. I think fast, I talk fast. So pretty please, with sugar on top. Clean the fucking car. You can see Travolta just looks annoyed. He looks annoyed. So, I think Tarantino's acting wasn't great, but it's still entertaining though. I think Tarantino's acting, throughout the rest of the scene it was fine though. He really didn't overact and do much. I think he definitely overacted, but there's something very entertaining about Tarantino at this time, I would say. And he really, I think more than anything with Tarantino, like, I think he got everything out of his system. I think he really enjoyed like that rock star publicity that the movie gave him, and the MTV Awards and the talk shows and Charlie Rose. I think he really, really enjoyed it, but I think he got it out of his system though. But he was really one of the first directors that was labeled a rock star. Like well, Tarantino always wanted to become an actor. Like that. Let's be clear about that. But yeah, Harvey Keitel was great here. It's tough to say who had the more powerful performance, Keitel or Christopher Walken. It really is. I know some people and that's the great thing about this movie. It really, there's so many supporting roles here that you can argue like really put the movie over the top, whether it be Walken, Stoltz, Harvey Keitel. I mean, the list goes, on and on, man. Stoltz and Walken actually got their own movie out of this, The Prophecy. And, I think it definitely elevated Harvey Keitel, kind of reminded him of, how good he was. Definitely put him back in the spotlight as well, as if he needed it. Harvey Keitel probably didn't need it as much as, guys like Robert Forster or even Travolta, like to a degree. So, this shot here of, Harvey and Tarantino talking about the quilt, because they're going to have to, use these quilts to kind of, clean up some of the blood and to, replace it so they could get out of there. He's basically saying, like these were given to me by my, aunts and uncles and all these relatives, but he kind of cuts them off and says, are they millionaires? Well, your Uncle Marcellus is. And I think down the road, Marcellus is going to compensate you for, destroying or using, what was these valuable, pieces of, quilts. But, it's all right, though. But it's definitely a good scene. My favorite part is when Tarantino says, oak is nice, because I guess they were made of oak. He's actually, giving him some money just to compensate him. So this is why they hired Harvey, just to kind of make everything go smoothly, to kind of fix it up a little bit. So this is a great scene here where they're cleaning the car. I think Sam's delivery here was 100% on the money. Laser sharp delivery. Well, I'm a mushroom cloud lane motherfucker. I'm the guns of the Navarone. In fact, why am I on here cleaning, on brain detail? We switching. I'm cleaning the front and you picking up this brother's skull. So I always thought it was funny how, even though he's dead, he still has the presence of mind to call him the N-word, even after his brains are splattered all around the car. It's funny as hell. But, Tarantino, was comfortable writing that way. And, Sam was able to understand it. And I think that's what made it great. But, I could see how people would take offense to that. But, Sam's delivery here was incredible. Incredible delivery, incredible anger. I think he did it. And they cleaned up the car pretty nicely. This is where he has the famous line, let's not start sucking each other's dicks quite yet. Yeah, you can see the quilts in the car. They look great. Everything looks great. Tarantino's like, I can't believe this is the same car. Yeah, let's not start sucking each other off quite yet. Now we got to move along to phase 2. Clean you two. So yeah, this is an underrated scene right here. They have to strip bare naked and they got a hose out there. They got to hose them down, hose out all that blood, which is completely necessary because they still look like they just blew off, somebody's head. My favorite part of this scene is Samuel Jackson. He's like, "Oh, it's motherfucking cold." That's one of my favorite lines. Yeah, Travolta is not in great shape here. He just doesn't. Yeah, he definitely put on some weight since the Saturday Night Fever days. But it's okay though. You don't really need to be, look like Sylvester Stallone or Schwarzenegger for a movie like this. Yeah, Tarantino's just kind of getting a kick out of it. He's kind of directing Harvey how to hose him down. He's directing on screen. I believe Robert Rodriguez was actually directing behind the camera for the Tarantino shots, which is not that many, but still, it's pretty interesting. So then they go to a fade to black, and then you get to see them with these gym shirts on. Vincent's got a Santa Cruz shirt on. Jules has got like this blue shirt on. Yeah, I mean, I never really thought much about it, but I guess if it's not the weekend, if it's during a work day, some people look at you very negatively, like if you're just wearing like gym clothing. And so you get to see the mannequin right there of Marvin, which didn't look great. So Harvey's talking about they got to follow them to Monster Joe's truck in tow. Thank God they cut the scene. Now, there was an extended scene with the girl Raquel from Monster Joe's. It was just unnecessary. I think they made the right move by cutting it. So I drive really fast. So yeah, so Vincent apologizes. He's like, the gun went off. I don't know why. He's like, and Sam's like, don't do shit unless you do it first. Spoken like a true gentleman. So they got to follow him. And it's like, how about you, Lash LaRue? Like, he's talking down to Vincent like, he's going to do something stupid on the way there. So Vincent's got to follow them. Very important. All right, so they go to Monster Joe's truck and tow. It's an okay scene right here. Once again, the girl criticizes the clothes. She's like, what's up with the outfits? You guys going to a volleyball game or something? So it's a pretty funny scene here. I think the highlight of it, he offered to give them a ride back, but because they live in different, cities, Inglewood, wherever they live. Jules lives in Inglewood. Vincent lives, I don't even know where. I can't even remember what it was. Oh, he came back from Amsterdam, but he's. So the funny thing about this scene is they're very respectful to him. Yeah, even though Travolta was disrespected him and was fucking around with him, he goes to Raquel. You see that? That's character. And she's like, I have character. He's like, just because you are a character doesn't mean that you have character, which is a great line. Great line. Harvey Keitel, even though he's not in the movie for that long, he definitely has some incredible lines. So they get hungry here. He's like, you feel like having breakfast with me? We'll call a cab, go to breakfast, and then boom, it takes you right back to the start of the movie where they're at the Hawthorne Grill at the diner right here. So this is definitely a good scene. They kind of lighten the mood for what's about to happen here. They're having a nice little conversation, breakfast. Jules is not that big on eating meats. Travolta, as you saw at Jack Rabbit Slim's, he had a steak. He's into eating sausages, hams, meats. So clearly a difference is of what kind of things to eat. Jules is a vegetarian because his girlfriend is a vegetarian. He's like, sewer rat makes taste like pumpkin pie, but I wouldn't know because I wouldn't eat the filthy motherfucker. The highlight of this scene was, would you eat a dog eats his own feces? Would you eat something that came from a pig? And he's like, well, we have to be talking about one charming motherfucking pig. He'd have to be 10 times more charming than that pig from Green Acres, so, which is a really, really funny line. So great funny dialogue right here. It doesn't really matter how great the dog or the pig's personality is. So they're starting to lighten up here. They're starting to lighten up. It's a fun conversation. But then it kind of gets serious. Talking about the the miracle. So once again, like Vincent is still doesn't really want to appreciate it as a miracle or acknowledge it as a miracle. He just wants to say it's a freak occurrence. But yeah, he kind of takes exception to the fact that Jules wants to leave the life right here. Leave the life, just kind of walk the earth like Kane in Kung Fu. So Kung Fu is starred David Carradine from Kill Bill. It ran in the 70s. So obviously Tarantino was really, into that. But yeah, he just wants to, live his life. I think the thing is, anytime you almost get killed like that, or anytime your life really flashes before you, I mean, you have a second chance. The second chance. This is where it kind of ties into redemption. Jules gets a second chance to redeem, himself for this lifestyle. So he just wants to do something different. Walking the earth might lead to something else. But Travolta Vincent kind of interprets it as, Jules becoming a bum. Without a job, a legal residence, or a place to stay. That's what you got to do. You got to become a fucking bum. They have a name for that, Jules. And it's like, that's just where you and I different. If you're cease asking scary questions, if my answers frighten you. So it's got some great dialogue here. But yeah, I mean, it's really weird how they're not on the same page right here. They're really kind of drifting apart right here. Even before, what's about to happen. So you get to see Tim Roth and Amanda Plummer. They go back to them. They're asking for coffee. So, yeah, it kind of takes you back to where it first started. So it's pretty damn cool. Pretty damn cool filmmaking. I like the way Tarantino did this with the nonlinear style. It made for a much better movie. This was definitely the way to end it. They didn't know that they were going to end it with this scene until Sam's second audition. So everything happens for a reason. He said, yeah, I was sitting here drinking my coffee, having my muffin, and had what alcoholics recall as a moment of clarity. It's like, to be continued. I got to go take a shit. So once again, Travolta goes to the bathroom for the third time in the movie. He's still reading, I believe it's a book. He starts reading this book because of Mia, I believe. After taking out Mia, he decides to read this book. Yeah. So you get to see Honey Bunny and Ringo right here. Everybody be cool. This is a robbery. Yeah, she was good, man. She was kind of the way she flipped. She came off so sweet and so innocent. At first, while they were having breakfast. Just how she was talking to the waitress. The garçon means boy waitress, and then yeah, she definitely came off a little bit bitchy here, but yeah, you get to see Lawrence Bender right there, the yuppie scum. Tim Roth actually calls him yuppie scum. That, for some reason, that's Lawrence Bender's name in every movie. Even in Fresh, he produced Fresh. He was actually in the movie trying to buy drugs from the kid, and that was his name, yuppie scum. You get to see the restaurant owner there, the fat guy that Samuel Jackson won't even let speak. He's like, shut the fuck up, fat man. It's like, to everybody, this will all be cool in a minute. I'm not a hero. I'm just a coffee shop manager. Yeah, he did a good job, the restaurant owner, even though Sam kind of cuts him off. Sam's delivery in this movie was incredible. Even just some of the shut the fuck ups from him. It's just like, man, if you're going to tell somebody to shut the fuck up, like, that's the coolest way to say it. So he's trying to calm everybody down here. This will all be over with in a moment. And Tim Roth actually tells him, good job. So you get to see Travolta taking a shit, reading a book. He has no idea what's going on here. It's funny, man. So he's robbing the register here. So I guess the argument would be that the workers, besides the restaurant owner, no one would really give a shit that you're robbing the restaurant. So it's going to try to collect everybody's wallets. I've never been in a restaurant and had anything negative like this happen. So, It's pretty interesting. I never really thought about it. Like, could you imagine being in a restaurant and even seeing like a fight break out or someone actually trying to rob the restaurant? I mean, it's never happened. Now, you probably have a better chance of being in the mall and seeing like a riot break out or something like that. I would think, liquor stores are probably the most frequent thing. I had a friend that eventually I found that he actually robbed a liquor store. So liquor stores are probably a little bit more common in terms of robberies. So just Sam's demeanor here, he's totally changed. He's not nervous at all. He's not even like blinking. He kept on eating his muffin. So I hate to shatter your ego, but this ain't the first time someone pointed a gun at me. And the guy's like, stop causing problems. You're going to get us all killed. He's like, shut the fuck up, fat man. Yeah. So it's almost like with this scene right here, after what he just went through, like there's no fucking way, this couple is gonna, stop me from either doing what I want to do or, leaving this restaurant without the briefcase. That's the most important thing. He's not giving up this briefcase for anything. So this is really the only time where you get to see the briefcase actually open up. So eventually he does kind of give in to him. He's like, all right, Ringo, you win. Opens up the briefcase. So you get to see Tim Roth's face. All right, so you get to see a little bit of it. It looks like it's shiny and gold. And then Tim Roth is looking at it mesmerized. It's like, it's beautiful. Amanda Plummer's like, what is it? What is it? So you get to see the lid of it, but you don't get to see what's on the bottom of the briefcase. But, the briefcase kind of distracts him and he is able to kind of get the upper hand and put a gun on him. She's like, you let him go. You let him go. Tell that bitch to be cool. Say, bitch, be cool. Tell the fucking bitch to chill. This is great. No, he was great in this scene. The scene is going to live forever because of him. But she gets nervous here. She has to go pee. She wants to go home. Her demeanor totally changes too. Like she starts to get nervous. It's really a great scene. So, this is once Travolta comes out, I guess you could definitely classify this as a Mexican standoff, which, Reservoir Dogs had, True Romance had. And once again, we get it in the finale of Pulp Fiction for the third film in a row from Tarantino in terms of the writing. You get another Mexican standoff here. This is funny as hell. He's like, I thought you were going to be cool. We're going to be like three little Fonzies here. And what's Fonzie like, Yolanda? And she's like, he's cool. Correctamundo. So you love the writing there. And obviously, Sam lived through, all those decades of television that Tarantino went through. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody understands Tarantino's dialogue, as good as Samuel L. Jackson. Plus, Sam's got the acting experience from theater. That's why I just think it made for such a great combination. Basically, he's telling him, he's been through too much shit this morning just to hand it over to your dumbass, which is right, He almost got killed over that briefcase. Why should you just give it to this fucking idiot that's going to rob the restaurant? So here we go. Vincent comes back from taking a shit, pointing the gun at Yolanda. Vince is a little bit upset about the money thing. He's like, you give that fucking Nimrod $1,500, I'll shoot him on general principle. He's like, no, Vince, shut the fuck up. I'm buying something for my money, Vincent. He's like, you know what I'm buying, Ringo? I'm buying your life. So he has the bad motherfucker wallet. So he's got to go back into the bag and find the wallet that says bad motherfucker. Then he gives him the $1,500. So there's your bad motherfucker wallet. It counts the money. See, Vincent Vega, he's just making it tougher on them, you know. But the Yolanda totally just gives in. She doesn't even want to be there anymore. So this is where the Ezekiel 25:17 thing comes into play, and Jules finally hits him like exactly what it really means. Like he never really thought much about it. He just thought it was some cold-blooded shit to say to somebody before, you know, he will pop a cap in their ass. But now he finally knows what it means now. He's finally seeing the light. And ultimately, he comes to the conclusion that, you know, this guy robbing the restaurant is the weak. And he's the tyranny of evil man. But he's trying real hard to be the shepherd. You know, ideally you will want it to be, you know, the world is fucked up. And it's the world that makes us, you know, these fucked up people. But that shit ain't the truth. The truth is you're the weak. All right, so in terms of this scene right here, I think, you know, Sam's delivery was great. But more than anything, like you see his eyes here. He just looks so engaged. He looks so intense. He's just so into the scene. And definitely, thank God they didn't go with the afro. Apparently he was supposed to wear an afro instead of the cherry curl, but I think the cherry curl worked pretty well, even though this is really after, you know, the cherry curl was popular. Even Biggie said it in '94 that the cherry curl was played out, but it definitely worked for this movie. So, I mean, what can you really say about this closing scene? It's easily, you know, one of the more powerful scenes of all time, not just in the movie, but of all time. It just really puts into perspective, just kind of rubbing in his face, like, you know, this is a sign of weakness to try to, you know, get fast money and try to stick up a whole restaurant. Say, you're the weak, and I'm the tyranny of evil man. But I want you to go, leave. It's funny, like, do you ever think about this scene? Like, the whole restaurant is just, like, hiding and scared. They're all, like, pretending to be not seen. It's funny. How many people could have just got out of there? It's funny how more people didn't leave the restaurant. And Vincent's like, I think we should be going, Jules. Then they leave. It's a great way to end the movie. I love the beach music, the surf music to end this thing. It came off great. So this is really, in a linear version, this is really the beginning of, you know, most of the movie here. And then, you know, Vincent's going to have to take Mia out on the date, you know, shortly thereafter this. So awesome scene, awesome movie. It still holds up well. You know, Jules gets his redemption here and leaves the life while Vincent ends up getting killed. So it was great, man. Written and directed by Quentin Tarantino, produced by Lawrence Bender. I'll just end it right there, man. It was really, really fun, watching this thing back. I hope you guys enjoyed the watch along if you got the chance to listen to it. And I'm out. All right.